youth is not doing enough to find employment. Members of Parliament's two houses were debating Ramaphosa's State of the Nation speech, which some parties say it failed to address issues around youth unemployment. Babalondense reports.
The second day of the Sona debate focused a lot on youth unemployment and how it's becoming a crisis. The debate came as Stats SA released its quarterly labour force survey, which showed youth unemployment remains significantly higher than the national average of 31.4%. ANC MP Fasiya Hassan says President Ramaphosa must act urgently.
And so here is the demand from us as young people. Treat youth unemployment like a national emergency, not with speeches but with state power.
Meanwhile, EFF MP Sihlelonzi slammed Ramaphosa and some of his cabinet ministers for suggesting that the youth is not doing enough to get employment.
It is a lie that they sit at home and bask under the sun like Honorable Gwede suggests. They wake up every morning. They ask their families for the last cent. They must choose between buying bread or buying a bus ticket.
Ramaphosa will respond to issues raised during the two-day debate this afternoon. Babalondense, Eyewitness News.
Athlone Community Policing Forum chairperson Venon Pete says residents should take control of gang-ravaged areas in the Western Cape. Pete shared his sentiments yesterday after a 9-month-old baby was shot dead on Tuesday night. The infant was killed at a drug den along with her mother and another woman in Athlone. Carlo Peterson reports. Well, U.S. media is reporting that U.S. President Donald Trump is ready to attack Iran as early as this weekend, but has yet to make a final decision on whether he will authorize such actions. A report from CNN says the White House has been briefed that the military action could be ready for an attack by the weekend, and after a significant buildup in recent days of air and naval assets in the Middle East. Earlier, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says it would be very wise for Iran to make a deal with Trump after indirect talks in Geneva ended without a significant breakthrough. A previous attempt at nuclear negotiations collapsed last year when Israel launched attacks on Iran, triggering a 12-day war that Washington joined by bombing 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Leavitt has told reporters that while some talks are progressing in Geneva, they are still far from reaching consensus on certain issues. Gold is trading at $4,971.88 an ounce. The rand is at 16.05 to the dollar, 21.64 to the pound, 18.91 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $70.35 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got some delays reported already along the N1 North. This is between the Golden Highway exit and the Diepkloof interchange. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N3 North approaching the Geldenhuys interchange.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, Johannesburg, starting at 13 degrees, peaking at 29, Pretoria 17 and 30, Vereeniging 13 and 30 as well. A partly cloudy day is expected for Cape Town, along with a fresh southerly breeze, a low of 17 and a high of 27. The top story in EWN this hour: suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya has described the Political Killings Task Team as non-prolific and ineffective, and he's told the Commission that he is not friends with Kat Matlala.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Your brain's a well-oiled machine. Now put it to work in the brain of 702. Enter on PrimeMediaPlus.com. T's and C's apply.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 6 o'clock. It's a Thursday. It's the 19th of February, the year of our Lord, 2026. Welcome to the program if you've just joined us. Amukelang Ramila is here with us in the studio. She's on traffic. KG is behind the desk. Muteo Haripe is on business. And I've got the producers, Bapelile and CM Tanda, taking your calls. Cindy Paluta will give us the latest in sport. And as you've heard there, Sifiso Zulu has everything you need to know in Eyewitness News. Hope everyone is feeling good, rearing to go. Our mission, as always, is to tell you what's going on in the world, why it's important, and how it will impact you. We want everyone to be part of our informed community. And of course, wherever you are around 702 land, you are our eyes and ears. On our menu today, a shocking story. Here's a question. Is there someone in your close circle, family, friends, you would not defend? If you heard some accusation about this person and you go, I can see it. You don't know, of course, if they've done it, but they're not the hill you will die on. Is there such a person that you go, they're capable?
I mean, if you know them well to know their ways and how they behave, if you hear something that's even remotely close to who they are, then you'll probably say, yeah, well, I'm not going to defend you on that one. Could you probably do this?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Amo,
Bongani?
is there someone in your family? Let me make it even more direct. Is there someone in your family that you think is capable of doing harm? If not to you, to someone else.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of, we've had a cousin who's now late, and he would use my grandmother's phone number as his own like personal number. So when he owes a store or something that he hadn't paid, they would phone my grandmother. And my grandmother would say, you know what, guys, I'm just a pensioner. You can come and take my TV, but I'm a pensioner. I didn't come to your store to, take some. Yeah.
I didn't open the account.
And there would be one thing after the other. The people would come to our grandmother's home and say, he's done this and this and that. So because of that profile that he created for himself, I wouldn't put it against him.
You heard something.
I wouldn't.
Can I tell you why I'm asking the question? Our first interview is with the NPA in Limpopo. It's an incredible story of this former Department of Education official, right? One Dr. Mahlape, who was killed in what at least initially appeared to be a robbery gone wrong. It then later turned out that his daughter was convinced by a Sangoma that he had killed her mother through Muti. And so she hired these contract killers to kill her father. In fact, initially, she tries to bewitch her own dad because she believes her father killed her mother, who died of a heart condition, using Muti. And so she tried to retaliate, and when that didn't work, she got the contract killers. All of them, by the way, are behind bars. The three men, the trigger men who killed Dr. Mahlape, the daughter herself, and now the Sangoma has pleaded guilty to the crime. How do you begin to believe something like that about your own father? What complicates the story a little for me as well is that it's apparently the aunt who convinced her that your dad killed my sister. Go to this Sangoma. He'll have answers. And that was his answer. Are there people in your intimate circle you would not defend? You hear the worst thing about this person, and you go, yeah, I can see it, hey? People you think are capable of doing harm, maybe even to you. Remember when we were kids, weren't there certain houses you weren't allowed to go play at? Or you'd be told, don't eat food from that house? I mean, those kinds of things don't really happen these days quite as much, I would imagine. My kids played by appointment. That's the world we live in, right? Because of safety and blah, 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 blah. My kids only go to your house if we have spoken. That's kind of how they grew up. But we would in fact, they would kick us out of the house. Go play. But there was always that one house you were warned about. You know? Don't eat that auntie's food. Who's that person in your circle? You can be anonymous if you want. Send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072 702 1702. We'll take your calls on 011 883 0702.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Brent Bosel. Is he the third, I think? Brent Bosel the third. I think he's the third. This is the new U.S. ambassador to South Africa who's arrived in Pretoria. What will his arrival mean for the relationship between Washington and Pretoria? There's clearly a reset as far as the Republicans are concerned. Can we pull that relationship back? I've got two guests. Doctors Terence McNamee and Dr. Kingsley Makubela will be joining us for the big interview to wade into that. And I think they've got somewhat different perspectives on the issue. So that should make for a fascinating conversation.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Don't know if you watched proceedings at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry yesterday, but the suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya denied. One of the things, of course, he denied was ever having been friends with the alleged criminal kingpin Vusumuzi Cat Matlala. I want you to listen to some of what he had to say yesterday. The suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya telling the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry that he has faced what he calls unfair and politically motivated attacks on social media from supporters of the KZN Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.
What worries me is that, see, when you look at all the provincial commissioners, no one you will see on social media. No one is being spoken about on social media. They don't have followers because you are not allowed to be on social media as policemen. But you've got this one provincial commissioner who's on social media every day. Now, you've got political parties fighting to have him. He's supported by MK. Then you also have, I spoke to one MMC who was asking me, what is going on? Allow me not to mention the name, Chair. He was asking me, what is going on in this thing? We want to understand this thing. And I said, I explained, and he said, you know what, the problem is that even though we see what is happening, the problem is that in KZN, when you get heard speaking against Mkhwanazi, General Mkhwanazi, then you see people beginning to have some cliques and distancing themselves from the party. Now, we've got now this person who's got social media following, a lot of them. I'm told that there are many thousand accounts on social media.
Then there is Commissioner Advocate Sesi Baloyi. That is a lady not to be trifled with. Because having made this assertion, she tried, or at least she put his assertions to the test.
It's just that, Chair, I know I'm not speculating. It is the case. But the simple question is, do you have the account name? Do you have the account number? Do you know this? I won't have it. I don't have it. But why I'm saying that, I have been given names to say this person who's responsible for General Mkhwanazi's social media are the following, or is this one. I have that name, but up until I also have evidence or proof, I cannot sit here and say, here is this name. But I do have it.
I think the point lies in the last thing that you say, that you don't yet, at least, I'm happy to put in the word yet, you don't yet have proof of what you have been told by somebody, that there is this person who's in charge of that account. You don't have proof, and I think you've just said that right at the end.
Let me accept that point.
Okay, thank you.
So I bring it up. He goes on this whole thing. This guy's got social media followers. He's the only commissioner. I get attacked by people. She then presses him on the matter and says, do you have proof? No, I don't have yet. So why were you bringing it up in the first place?
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Taking your WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702. Your calls on 011-883-0702. Our shout out this morning, when you look around your intimate circle, friends, family, are there people you would not defend? You hear the worst about them. You don't say, Muteo would never. You go, on a dark and stormy night.
Morning, Bongs. I definitely wouldn't defend my little sister / cousin. She's made so many wrong choices since she was 18, I guess. She's become a compulsive liar. Like anything she says, I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, it's very bad. It's too bad that I don't even want to say it, but I would never defend my little sister / cousin.
Good morning, Bongani Bingwa. Buccaneer. Win or lose, Gafana, nothing has changed. Based on the topic that I won't defend, to be honest with you, I will never ever defend my sister on wrongdoings. I won't. I refuse. There was an incident that happened and I refuse to defend her because what she was doing was wrong. It was absolutely wrong what she was doing. I will not let her manipulate another woman's child just because she's got a baby with him. And she wants to stress this man, even though the guy is paying maintenance, is doing everything for the child. No, I won't defend my sister. Thanks, Bongani. Bye.
This daughter didn't defend her dad when the aunt and the Sangoma said he had done this. And of course, as you might suspect, it wasn't true.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
20 after 6, Mateo Haripa, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I've got a question for you and the 702 landers this morning. I'm going to trigger a lot of parents, but I want to know, what creative ways do you use to keep track of your child's uniforms? Do you label them? Do you teach them responsibility? Or you've just given up and you replace the lost jersey and the lost shoes every time it happens?
I mean, of course, you have to label the things. That goes without saying. But there are some kids, no matter how many times you have labeled, no matter how many items you have labeled.
Yeah.
And so the strategy in my household is to go to the Lost and Found and buy there. Because at some point, I think at our school, after items haven't been collected and Lost and Found, then they sell them for a nominal amount.
Is that not a back and forth with your child to say, I'm wearing uniform that's not really mine?
I don't look to that degree, but I do know the things that we buy are labeled, have to be.
Amo, how do you track the uniform?
I definitely label, and there's these labels that you buy and you can press on your child's uniform that they'll have the name there. It'll permanently stay there even if you wash or iron. And then there's I teach them the initials. So even if your label maybe is gone off or whatever, the initials you will know. Right. And then, just to take care of your things. I think my son, when he started grade one, he lost his jersey about 2 times. I bought, and then I bought again. And then the last time I said, go to your classroom, find a jersey and bring it home. And he found his own one. So that's when I knew that the labels and the initials, they work. Yeah. I was done buying.
I'll tell you why I'm asking.
All right. I'm curious about what prompts that question.
702.
Weather.
22 after 6, conditions today, partly cloudy day in Gauteng. Temperatures maxing a little higher once more. Johannesburg 29, Pretoria and Vereeniging 30 degrees. That's the same for Bloemfontein. Gqeberha and Cape Town max at 27 degrees. Durban 31, East London 26.
EWN traffic.
Our first look at the roads. The M1 still an issue in terms of construction at this hour. Amo, what are you seeing?
Well, we do have delays. It's just as you head towards the Joburg CBD, Bongani. This is along the M1 North as you stayed between Boysons and Carr Street. There's queuing traffic as well on the M2 West between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. And if you're traveling on the N3 South, we've got roadworks taking place right near Marlborough Drive, causing some issues. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. We'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Things you need to know at this hour. President Donald Trump, the U.S. president, remember he set up that board of peace. Well, today they're going to hold their long-awaited first meeting, And on the discussion, I suppose, on the agenda will be the next stage in terms of what happens in Gaza and also fundraising for the reconstruction of the destroyed territory. Trump has unveiled his plan for the Board of Peace. He did so at the World Economic Forum in Davos last month. Meanwhile, here's an interesting one. Pope Leo XVI will not be joining President Donald Trump's Board of Peace. The Vatican's top diplomat arguing that the global crisis management should be conducted by the UN and not this replacement body.
In our time, the weakness of multilateralism is a particular cause for concern at the international level. A diplomacy that promotes dialogue and seeks consensus among all parties is being replaced by a diplomacy based on force by either individuals or groups of allies. War is back in vogue, and the zeal for war is spreading. The principle established after the Second World War, which prohibited nations from using force to violate the borders of others, has been completely undermined. Peace is no longer sought as a gift and a desirable good in itself, or in the pursuit of the establishment of the ordered universe willed by God, with a more perfect form of justice among men and women.
And I said Pope Leo XVI. It's in fact the 14th. The renowned strategist Clem Santa has died at the age of 81 at his home in Somerset West following a battle with cancer. He gained prominence in the 80s and 90s for scenario planning. And this was, of course, a way of being able to tell the politics and economics of what happens next in the South African story. He introduced the concept of scenario planning to corporate South Africa during his time with Anglo-American. In fact, one of the more famous stories he used to tell, Clem Santa, Muteo, you'll be interested in this, is in one of his books, he set up a scenario in which a plane could be used to hit one of the Twin Towers in New York long before it happened. You can imagine the calls he got after September 11, because how would he have known? Is a U.S. attack on Iran imminent? Despite ongoing diplomatic talks between Washington and Tehran, there's growing fear that a military confrontation between the two countries could begin in the coming days, and it would be expected to be an intensive multi-week campaign. The American news network, CBS News, is reporting that top national security officials have told President Trump that the military is ready for potential strikes on Iran, possibly as soon as this weekend. It follows the Pentagon moving some personnel temporarily out of the Middle East region in anticipation of attacks and counterstrikes if that operation goes ahead. Do you remember the first time you got your first passport? On this day in 1990, Nelson Mandela was issued with his first South African passport 8 days after he was released from prison, and it was this passport with his second name, Rolihlahla, spelt incorrectly, by the way. They spelled it Rolihlahla. And he used this, of course, to embark on a tour of African states, and he went overseas, and he went around thanking all those countries that had supported the ANC during the struggle. Amo, how many names do you have?
Just one.
Just one?
Mm-hmm.
Muteo?
2.
You've got 2? What's the other one?
I've got 2 names.
What's the other one? Sfiso Zulu, how many names do you have?
I've got 2 names, Sfiso Richard Zulu.
Richard Zulu. Yeah. Oh, okay. Listen to this. The singer-songwriter Henry Olusegun Olumide Adiola Samuel. That's why we know him best as Seal, hey? He's got 4 names. Seal Henry Olusegun Olumide Adiola Samuel turns 63 today. He was born on this day in 1963. You'll know him, of course, for hits like Crazy, Fly Like an Eagle, and Kiss from a Rose.
702.
The newspapers.
All right, Richard?
I actually did not like that name growing up.
Really?
Yes. When I was in my 20s, I told my mom that I wanted to remove it until she explained the story. And she said Richard was a name given to her brother who died at birth. And so she named me Richard after her brother who died at birth. So
And
I was
then
like,
you just go,
okay, I will keep it for legacy purposes.
All right, Richard, what's in the newspapers?
The Guardian this morning, Bongani, is talking about deep fake news that must be removed from the internet within 48 hours or technology firms risk being blocked. And this is an instruction by the UK Minister, Keir Starmer, who is calling it a national emergency that the government must confront. So companies could be fined millions or even blocked altogether if they allow the images or to spread or be reposted after victims give notice. Nudes, yes.
These are naked pictures.
Yes. Give notice. So this is a whole the same thing that Ireland was doing. The story that we did earlier in the week, where they are basically intending on taking action against the likes of X's Grok and other AI bots that are spreading, explicit pictures of people online.
In various stages of underdress.
Yes. So this is the latest from the UK. They are taking those steps themselves.
All right. I suppose when pictures leak, people will say it's a deep fake, isn't it? The front page of the Business Day, Glencore confident Eskom will slash tariffs. Mayors reshuffle chaos. This is Ekurhuleni Coalition. And 1.5, that's the Sowetan, by the way, 1.5 trillion rand to fix our towns, says the Citizen, quoting Salga.
EWN Business.
Right, Muteo, you've got a question of your own. The creative ways we keep track of our children's uniforms. Is it labels, responsibility taught the hard way, or do you just keep paying for replacements? What prompts the question?
ActionSA says prices for goods and services in the country are currently contained at 3.5% for the month of January. So that's good, right? Food and fuel costs are generally lower in the country at the moment. But despite the lower inflation rate, ActionSA says it's picked up rising prices of school uniforms in the country. For the month of January, prices of school clothes surged. School jerseys were up 7%, school skirts and dresses were up 3%, and school shoes were up 4%. I'm sure a lot of parents will know what that's about. Back to school costs have put many households under pressure. Uniform prices are high, increasing by approximately 8% year on year, significantly outpacing general inflation. This makes essential school gear unaffordable for many families in the country. Now, the price is driven up by exclusive supplier contracts, branded items, as well as rising production costs. The Competition Commission of South Africa has received 490 complaints between 2020 and early 2026 regarding school uniform and learning material costs. Parents and suppliers allege schools are violating the Competition Act by entering into exclusive long-term supply agreements that drive up prices and reduce choices.
I've long argued that all schools should have the same basic, if we are going to do uniforms at all, should be the same basic uniform. Perhaps you can have your different badges, which can be sewn in, the shirt pocket or whatever it may be. But a standard uniform across the board, you can get it anywhere at any shop. That's if we have uniforms at all, because I've never understood why clothes that people wear over the weekend are suddenly not good enough on a Monday. But that's my view.
Rand 16.05 against the dollar, 18 Rand 93 against the euro, and a 21 Rand 66 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,984 an ounce, or platinum at $2,091. Brent crude at $70.67 a barrel. More business after 7.
Straight to the news desk we go, and of course in this next half an hour we'll tell you of this shocking story of a family murder motivated by Muti, and probably a whole lot more. Sfisa Zulu, what you got?
Thanks, Wani. Good morning. Civil organizations are calling for a commission of inquiry to get to the bottom of the country's persistent water challenges. The People's Water Forum, a coalition of several like-minded civil organizations, held a media briefing at Constitutional Hill in Johannesburg just yesterday. While the water crisis has since subsided in some parts of Johannesburg, coordinator of the Joburg Crisis Alliance, Eunice Chamda, says there is a need to get to the root of the problem. The city of Ekurhuleni claims the metro remains stable despite serious troubles within the ANC-led coalition. The EFF announced its withdrawal from the coalition yesterday after Mayor Dr. Xhakaza announced a major cabinet reshuffle. The changes saw the EFF seats in the mayoral committee cut from 4 to 2. At the same time, ActionSA mayoral candidate Xolani Khumalo was appointed MMC for Community Services and Bylaw Enforcement. The state in the asbestos corruption case has welcomed the Free State High Court's decision to backtrack on a previous decision to let Moradi Cholota off the hook for graft. Cholota, a former Free State Premier Esma Gashule's assistant, who was also accused of getting kickbacks from the botched multi-million rand asbestos tender, was in court yesterday. And last year, Cholota challenged her extradition from the US, calling it unlawful and a witch hunt by the NPA after she refused to turn state witness and testify against Magashule in the matter. And the weather today is going to be partly cloudy in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 13 and 17 degrees, peaking at highs between 29 and 30.
And in the traffic, we've got peak time delays on the Mark 1 North between Xavier Street and Carr Street. There's also queuing traffic on the M2 West between Elof Street and the Crown turn off while traveling in Germiston. Roadworks are taking place along the N17 East and they're causing delays towards Rondabelt Road. Please be on the lookout there.
The top story this hour, civil organizations are calling for a commission of inquiry to get to the bottom of the country's water challenges.
Naked people are totally zen. Because naked people spend less time on insurance admin and more time meditating and balancing their chakras. With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds, and it's all online, so that means no long phone calls. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start meditating like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Calling all the brightest minds in Gauteng. Time to flex your general knowledge smarts in the brain of 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by OUTsurance. 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. So send us an answer based on something you heard on the show that piqued your interest. That answer will give you 1,000 Rand. WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. Then later, someone will ask a question to get your answer to win 2,000 Rand. You always stand a better chance of being selected if you have SMS'd out to OUTsurance to get yourself a quote. So do it now, SMS out to 45142 and you could save on your car insurance.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. Two of my mom's sisters and their daughters, I will never, ever defend. The most cruel people in the world. And I don't even want them close to her. They keep on hurting her, and she keeps on forgiving because it's blood. Me, nope. Stay away, Satan.
Good morning, Bongani and team. Well, in my circle, yes, there is definitely someone that I will not defend. But I'm glad that person is no longer a part of my life, is in the past now, but they're most capable of doing the worst harm. Tepo from Proteatle.
Morning, Bongani and the listeners. Now I won't even defend my own son. He's such a liar. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I even question the way I brought him up. Yo, that child can lie, can cry from his lies. You know, he's so obsessed with his lies.
Goodness me. There's a whole lot of damage that we do in our families, is it not? I'm talking about this incredible story out of Limpopo. A man who was killed essentially by contract killers hired by his own daughters because the daughter's aunt, the mother's sister, blamed her husband for her death. So she genuinely believed that her father had killed her own mother, spurred on by the aunt. And they went to a Sangoma. They tried Muti. That didn't work. They got contract killers. Are there people in your life you wouldn't defend, no matter what you heard about them?
Let's talk.
We're listening.
In the team, I think for me, uniforms are still the preferred. I think, rather uniform than wearing your day-to-day clothes. It helps you not to buy a lot of clothes. It's also actually quite cheaper to have uniforms instead of having to buy clothes, because now kids have to be competing with all sorts of brands at school and so forth. So I think uniform for me is better.
Look, we will probably always disagree on this topic whenever we have it. My youngest is turning 17 next month. She still doesn't wear fancy brand names. To the degree that she's ever had them, they were hand-me-downs from cousins. There is a thing to be said about what culture you instill in your home and what you allow your kids to aspire to in the first place. That's my view.
EWN Sport.
So Cindy Paluta, I have to tell you what the sports writer of News 24 said about the big game yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm paraphrasing now. They wrote that second goal by Maswanganyi gave Pirates the kind of hope that fizzles like a child disappointed by a deadbeat dad.
Wow.
I was like, woo, that's so painful.
Very heavy. Yeah, right.
Disappointed by a because they don't come. That second goal didn't come for us. We thought, okay, it might happen, but I thought it was such a memorable way to describe the feeling.
Well, I just, I switched the TV off about 10 minutes after the 2-1 because I was like, I don't want to know. I can't. So let me just switch it off. If you missed it last night, everybody, Mamelodi Sundowns beat Orlando Pirates 2-1.
Yep.
At FMB Stadium, where Bongani said, "Oh, shame! Yesterday, shame."
They all came out.
Fans. But there were not many fans of Mamelodi Sundowns. Let's be frank. I mean, they won the game, but the fans weren't. Yes, but to be fair, they all live in Pretoria, so to come all the way south, so it would.
We would go
if we had. We
would. Yeah, a lot of Pirates fans would go anywhere where Pirates plays.
Let's see where the guys you lost.
Look, I did say they're a good team.
Guys, you lost.
I did say
you lost
yesterday. Mm-hmm. I did say Sundowns are a cracking good team.
They are.
Yeah.
They are, right? And you never write them off. It's an interesting one because now they are just 3 points behind Orlando Pirates and they have a game in hand. At the end of the day, the score is the score. And it'll be a very sad day for South African football if Orlando Pirates let this league slip. I must be honest because, it would be nice to have a different team winning the league. But the fact is, you can't write them off. And Brian Leon with both goals before halftime. And then, as you say, Maswanganyi pulled one back for Pirates after the break. Here's Sundowns coach Miguel Cardozo.
All teams depend on the quality of their players. And as we had a fantastic Rowan Williams today on the goal, we had accuracy and the quality on the way we played the ball on the back of that defense. And a striker that obviously used the moments to score.
In the night's other match, 10-man Stellenbosch drew with Magesi 1-1. And then over in the UK, Bongani, you are just the jinx.
Right, yeah, totally.
You are the jinx for Arsenal and you are the jinx for Orlando Pirates because you come to work every day, you like nana for nana, and then I have to tell you, just calm down. I know sport. There's still
always
like
the
12 games to go, right? Arsenal have slipped in the Premier League title race as well. And they did it against Wolves, which really sucks.
Of all teams,
all
right?
The Gunners squandered a 2-goal lead. They were held 2-2 by Wolves, who, by the way, are bottom of the table.
Wolves scored in the 94th minute. Here's boss Mikel Arteta.
Well, extremely disappointed, obviously, with the result, with the way the game ended. But we have to blame ourselves. I think the performance in the second half didn't show anything close to the standards that are required in this league to win. I think it should have existed today, especially in the manner that we played the first half. So it's a moment of disappointment.
In the Champions League, Anthony Gordon scored 4 goals in Newcastle's 6-1 thrashing of Qarabağ. Bodo Glimt kept their last 16 hopes alive. They beat the runners-up Inter Milan 3-1. Club Brugge held Atletico 3-0 by Leverkusen with a 2-0 win over Olympiacos. At the T20 World Cup yesterday, the Proteas beat the UAE by 6 wickets to come through the group stages unbeaten. But there were some drop catches. Player of the match, Corbin Bosch, on the poor fielding.
It is something that happens, and also I'd rather have it happen now. I think I also dropped one, wasn't my best, but again, it's not our standards, but it will probably be addressed a little bit later. We are a much better fielding unit than that, so I do think we'll have to lift it, especially in the Super 8s, like every chance we have to take.
India beat the Netherlands by 17 runs, and Pakistan's 102-run win over Namibia makes them the last side to book their spot in the Super 8. And in the CSA 4-day final at the Wanderers Stumps on day 1, Warriors 292 for 8. Jordan Herman and JP King scoring centuries. Delano Porchetta has taken 3 wickets. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
Smart Steve, my daughter just turned 18, right? And now she's got a license and a boyfriend.
You're worried about her safety. With Momentum Safety Alert, she can access help 24/7.
Is that the emergency response version of Curry in a Hurry?
For sure. She can get help at the touch of a button for free.
Free? For all that and all?
Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Herschel Gibbs here, with more than just a crypto ad. Crypto payments are now live on 10bet. And there's more. Download the app, deposit, and get an extra 5% in cash. The future of betting, faster, safer, and smoother. Play now at 10bet.co.za. 10bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Hello 702. My name is Langelise. I am 12 years old, and when I grow up I would like to be a rugby player when I grow up. I am so excited to play the Whiz Quiz with 702 today.
Well, let's see if you can walk away with 10,000 Rand, Langelise.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
6:45, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by OUTsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Peak time delays in a lot of places in Gauteng at the moment. Amo?
That's correct, Bongani. If you're traveling on the Mark 1 North, bumper-to-bumper traffic between Xavier Street and Carr Street. There's also queuing traffic due to peak time pressure along the N3 North. This is between Leondale Road and Heidelberg Road in the Alberton Spruitview area. And then if you're traveling on the M2 West, you expect delays between Elof Street and the Crown Turnoff. There's also queuing traffic on the M2 East. This is now heading towards Silver Street coming out of Heidelberg Road, so please be on the lookout there as well and approach with care. I'll have more traffic updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This month is all about love, but the flight attendant won't be feeding the love if you're late for check-in. Well, fortunately, OUTsurance pointsmen are everywhere to ease traffic congestion so you can get to the airport on time. With OUTsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get to where we need to be quickly and safely. OUTsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
We've been talking, of course, about the 2026 State of the Nation Address debate in Parliament, that joint sitting. I want you to listen to a really interesting moment with the EFF Member of Parliament, Sihle Lonzi, who was criticizing President Ramaphosa and specifically the Higher Education Minister, Buti Manamela, questioning why government will celebrate improved matric results when thousands of learners don't get into institutions of higher learning, be they universities or colleges, and arguing that directing students to community education and training centers is not a clear nor a sufficient plan to absorb those who do qualify for post-school education.
During your State of the Union address, Mr. President, of the Nation address, you proudly announced that this is the highest number of matric passes in this country's history. But what is the point of celebrating statistics when you know deep down that thousands of these learners are going back home because there is no space in post-secondary education? What was even more worrying is that when we asked the Minister of Higher Education about additional spaces, he spoke to us about CET centers. CET centers are primarily designed for community education to serve adults that want to write matric or redo their examinations. They are simply not structured, funded, or even mandated to absorb the large numbers of learners who have already passed matric and are seeking post-secondary education. I don't know where Minister Nzimande is. Can you please educate the young man, because clearly he doesn't know anything about higher education.
Oh, right. At some point, Sihle Lonzi was handing out stacks of CVs in Parliament. Bit of shade, I imagine, to the comments made last month by the Mineral Resources and Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe, who said that part of the reason young people aren't getting jobs is because they're not applying.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Langalihle is 12 years old, goes to Spark Rivonia, and is ready to play the Whiz Quiz. Langalihle, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling nervous.
Are you with anyone listening to you, watching you, encouraging you?
Yeah.
You want to tell us who that is?
I'm listening with my dad, my sister, and my mother.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're all rooting for you and hoping that you do well. Let's get straight into it. Let's see how much money you can win. KG, start the clock. In which sport will a player bend a ball with a free kick past a goalie?
For soccer.
Correct. What is 75 minus 15?
40.
60. Which word means place where you live? Is it abode or is it abate?
Can you please repeat the question?
Which word means the place where you live? Is it abode or is it abate?
Abode.
Correct. Abode. True or false? The 2026 Soccer World Cup is hosted by the USA, Mexico, and Canada.
False.
It's true. Complete the saying, he fought tooth and what?
He fought what?
Complete the saying, he fought tooth and what?
Skip.
Nail. What do we call the small moving marker on computer screens?
Skip.
The cursor. And we can't complete the rest of the quiz. Langalihle, bit of a rough one there for you. But not to worry. You've got a little bit of cash, and you can try again the next time, hey? Remember, you have to play. You can play the Whiz Quiz if you are age 10 to 13. You're 12, you've still got a little bit of time. But you walk away, my friend, with 200 Rand. 200 Rand. It'll make for a nice lunchtime one of these days, hey?
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
On 702.
Current events, developing stories,
Tough questions.
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
8 to 7. This morning we're unpacking a deeply disturbing murder case in Limpopo that's left many people asking questions about belief, influence, and accountability. So a traditional healer has now been sentenced for his role in the killing of an official of the education department from Limpopo. His name is Malekutu Johannes Mihlape. After allegedly, this is now the Sangoma, allegedly convincing the man's daughter that her father was responsible for her mother's death through Muti. To help us understand how the law deals with these cases where cultural beliefs intersect with serious crime, or at least are used as the reason for it. We are joined by the spokesperson for the Limpopo division of the National Prosecuting Authority, and that is Mashudu Malabi Zangi. A very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. Mashudu, let's get straight into the details of this case. What did the court find as the role played by the traditional healer in this case? Because he pled guilty, didn't he?
Yes, the court has remarked that the traditional healer was the instigator of everything that has happened on that day, because he's the one who have told the family that the father has killed the mother of that child. So they even tried to get the motive in order to poison him. Unfortunately, the poison didn't kill him until they approached the hitman to kill him.
As I understand, it was in fact the daughter's aunt who persuaded her to approach the Sangoma in the first instance. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. The aunt is also one of the accused persons. So she's the one who have invited the daughter to visit the Sangoma in the first place. And then the daughter has also testified that they even first approached the prophet, who also said that the mother was poisoned. But the prophet didn't mention by who. It's then that they opt to approach the Sangoma.
So how does the law deal with issues of cultural beliefs when it comes to criminal liability?
Yes, the law aims to balance cultural sensitivity with protecting human rights and preventing harm. In cases like this one of Dr. Mihlapi's murder, the court considered these factors to determine liability. So that is why the court found that accused number 2, the Sangoma, is the instigator. And then the accused also assisted the court by pleading guilty and stated in his statement that he's the one who have told the family that Dr. Mihlapi has killed his wife. So there was no other way that the court can leave him out. That is why he found him guilty and sentenced him to 20 years. But the 20 years, it was done after the plea and agreement with the state.
Gosh, and what was the daughter sentenced to?
The daughter was sentenced to life imprisonment.
Just explain how this man was killed, because it was at least initially presented as a robbery gone wrong.
Yes, the state is alleging that the daughter has opened all the doors to allow the hitman to enter into the house because it was during the night. And then we're alleging that she's the one who showed them the main bedroom. That is why there was no any forced entry on those doors. So it was open. So she has played an important role to allow the hitman to enter into the homestead.
Well, they've all been convicted, so we're no longer just alleging these crimes. What message do you think this story and I suppose these sentences will send to communities where people may blindly trust people they see as figures of authority like healers or prophets?
Yes, the community must be aware that there are some of the stories that can make the family to be divided. So it's in their powers not to believe those people, because at the end of the day, they need one another. So at this stage, you can see the family of Mihlapi and the other family of the paternal mother, they are divided. So which was not supposed to be like that. The daughter has left his brother. He's the only child in the household. So the younger brother is still young. If this thing has never happened, they were not going to be separated. So we can see that the paternal mother has played another role which has divided the children.
I suppose it's a tough balancing act in some senses to avoid stigmatizing cultural practices, but I would imagine there's no cultural practice that can over or supersede human life.
Yes, indeed. Human life is very important. That is why we've got the Bill of Rights, in order to understand that life is very important. Our Constitution is protecting every human being. That is why we are coming to court every day to prosecute this type of cases.
All right, appreciate your time. Mashudu Malabi Zangi is the spokesperson for the Limpopo division of the NPA. If you've just joined us, what a shocking story, hey? The mother in the family dies of a heart condition. The grieving daughter and the aunt approach a prophet to try and figure out, was there some foul play in the mother's death? The prophet says it's a family member who did it. They then go and find this Sangoma who points at the father. They try to poison the father. That doesn't work. So the daughter hires hitmen and she opens the door to the home, the doors to the home. And they try and set it up and stage it as a robbery gone wrong. But of course, as you've just heard from the NPA, there was no forced entry. There were all the signs of an inside job. She is charged. The hitmen are charged. And then, of course, so is the Sangoma. And now the family that's left behind have to pick up the pieces of an awful, awful tragedy. Isn't that a shocking story?
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
We have a new ambassador from Washington who has arrived in South Africa. Brent Bosel is here in Pretoria. Will he help cement or break US-South Africa ties even further? That comes next after this Eyewitness News.
This is EWN.
Shadrack Sibiya claims procedure was not followed throughout Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's promotions, and Aaron Motsoaledi says he's not involved in any procurement irregularities. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulum. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya has testified at the Madlanga Commission that KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was promoted twice in 2011, violating SAPS procedures. According to Sibiya, Mkhwanazi was promoted from Brigadier to Major General and then Lieutenant General, all within a year. Sibiya returns to the Commission in Pretoria this morning for more testimony. Oren Singh reports.
Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya claims KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was politically promoted without rightfully earning his rank of Lieutenant General. In 2011, Mkhwanazi was promoted from a Brigadier to a Major General. That same year, he was appointed by former President Jacob Zuma to be Acting National Police Commissioner, an appointment that saw him being promoted overnight to Lieutenant General. Sibiya says this is in contravention of SAPS's procedures.
The procedure in the police that you must at least stay 2 years in a rank before you can be promoted to the next rank. Now, in 2011, he became a Major General. Within a night, overnight, he became a Lieutenant General.
Sibiya claims Mkhwanazi's jumping of ranks was frowned upon by many senior-ranking officers at the time. Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
The EFF wants the Special Investigating Unit to investigate the Health Department's tenders for antiretroviral drugs. The party says it does not trust the process followed last year after 2 of the 7 pharmaceutical companies awarded with contracts applied for business rescue in December, the same month in which they were expected to start supplying the drugs. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi has welcomed the call by EFF MP Naledi Chirwa, saying while he does not get involved in procurement processes, he would like to prove he's not involved in any corrupt dealings. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says it's unfortunate the Digital Vibe scandal involving former Minister Zweli Mkhize has sullied the Health Department's tender processes. He has assured Parliament's Portfolio Committee that he's not been involved in any of the department's procurement.
I can confirm that there are no brown envelopes. As far as I'm concerned, I can tell you with no equivocation that if that happens, it won't be pointing to me.
But the EFF's Naledi Chirwa says officials must be held accountable for not exercising due diligence over the ARV tender process by selecting companies which were on the brink of bankruptcy.
There has to be much more the department is answering to the committee in relation to how this process unfolded. It can't just be that this is it.
The department's Chief Procurement Director, Khadija Jamaluddin, says the department has not been found wanting by the Auditor General in the procurement of any of its pharmaceuticals. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
An Athlone father in Cape Town who lost his only daughter in a shooting, which also claimed the life of a 9-month-old baby, says he wishes no ill fates on his daughter's killers. Munib Lato, the father of Tafika, who was shot dead along with her friend Naima and her baby Amara, says he's struggling to process his daughter's murder. The two women and the infant were killed at a drug den in Athlone on Tuesday. Lato spoke to EWN after hearing of the attack.
God knows best. God has all the answers. In our faith, we do not question, we do not ask, because at the end of the day, you don't know when, where, how, time, place are you going to leave this world.
And US media is reporting that President Donald Trump is ready to attack Iran as early as this weekend, but has yet to make a final decision on whether he'll authorize such actions. A report from CNN says the White House has been briefed that the military could be ready for an attack by the weekend after a significant buildup in recent days of air and naval assets in the Middle East. Earlier, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said it would be very wise for Iran to make a deal with Trump after indirect talks in Geneva ended without significant breakthrough. A previous attempt at nuclear negotiations collapsed last year when Israel launched attacks on Iran, triggering a 12-day war that Washington joined in by bombing 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Leavitt told reporters that while some progress was made in Geneva, they are still far from reaching consensus on some issues.
The president has always been very clear, though, with respect to Iran or any country around the world. Diplomacy is always his first option, and Iran would be very wise to make a deal with President Trump and with this administration.
Gold is trading at $4,979.40 an ounce. The rand is at 16.08 to the dollar, 21.68 to the pound, 18.95 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $70.60 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 North. This is between Boyson's Road and Carr Street. There's also queuing traffic reported along the N3 North between Leondale Road and Heidelberg Road. That's in the Spruitview area. Please try to use the R59 North as a alternative.
And in your sports, Sundowns closed the gap on Orlando Pirates to 3 points after last night's 2-1 win. Leon with both goals. Arsenal were held 2-2 by Wolves, who equalised in the 94th minute. And a promo on Indian national TV for the Proteas' upcoming Super 8 game at the T20 World Cup with the hosts has fans outraged.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg is at a low of 13 degrees, peaking at 29. Pretoria, 17 and 30. Vereeniging, 13 and 30. The top story in EWN this hour. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya has testified at the Madlanga Commission that KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was promoted twice in 2011, violating SAPS procedures.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Calling all the brightest minds in Gauteng. Time to flex your general knowledge smarts in the brain of 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 7 o'clock. I don't know if you remember the last time we spoke to the Health Minister, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. There was an issue, of course, with the Department of Health and the latest AIDS drug tender. 2 of the companies that had been awarded the tender, the contracts for the pills for HIV patients, went into business rescue just days after winning those contracts. And one of the comments that the minister made when we brought that issue to him was that, look, the kind of thing does happen in business. Companies do go under. Of course, it wasn't anticipated, but the department would scramble to try and see if they could replace those suppliers. Well, the minister has been facing some tough questions from members of parliament around the procurement of these tenders and these contracts. And one of the things that has emerged is that, in fact, the department did not scrutinize the financial statements of the companies that were bidding for these tenders. The department says it simply did not have the capacity to do so, and the only way they could have done so is to outsource that function to auditing firms, and that would have been simply too expensive. But how do you give contracts of this nature, 15.5 billion rand contract, to companies whose financial statements you have not assessed? How can that be a good enough reason? The department also says, well, look, even Treasury, which has been responsible for pharmaceutical tenders in the past, they didn't ask for these financial statements either. But what does the Public Finance Management Act say? And what does that tell you about what can go wrong with procurement in the public sector?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7:09, sticking with Parliament. I told you how the EFF MP yesterday, Sihle Lonzi, was raising questions about what happens to those matriculants who don't have places at universities or colleges. At some point in that debate, that Sona debate, Lonzi held up a stack of CVs in Parliament saying they belonged to unemployed young people, including graduates who've been struggling to find work. He rejected, of course, the claims made by Gwede Mantashe, the Mineral Resources and Energy Minister, earlier this year, who said part of the reason young people were not getting jobs is because they weren't applying.
On my right are CVs of youth inclusive of graduates who have been looking for jobs without success. It is a lie that they are lazy. It is a lie that they sit at home and bask under the sun like Honorable Gwede Mantashe suggests. They wake up every morning. They ask their families for the last cent. They must choose between buying bread or buying a bus ticket. They must choose between buying electricity or buying data. These boxes are very heavy. They are heavy with disappointment. They are heavy with anger. They are heavy with hunger. They are heavy with the false hope and the fake dreams that you have been selling the youth of South Africa. We want to thank all the key stakeholders that have participated in the final draft of the Student Debt Relief Bill of the EFF. We are now ready and prepared to present the bill before this House. We want to see, Mr. President, who are you going to stand with in the struggle of student debt? Who are you going to stand with? Are you going to be with the students? Are you going to be with the youth of South Africa? Or are you going to abandon them? We are submitting these CVs to you, even though you ran away. The Deputy President will give them to you.
Two things about that story. A, of course, the point that is being made in it. But we commented just the other day, didn't we, Amo, about a maturing Julius Malema.
Mm-hmm.
And now I might even add a maturing EFF. Their members in Parliament are contributing to the debates, raising tough issues, and are doing so within the parliamentary system as opposed to being merely hecklers who just can't wait to be booted out in sessions like this. One of the big questions at the moment, of course, is what happens this weekend or in the next few days as far as an attack on Iran by the US. Reports suggesting that the White House has been briefed that the military could be ready for an attack as soon as Saturday. That's something to watch out for. Meantime, of course, the US President Donald Trump, who's been very busy, they've been having Black History Month. There was an event at the White House where he praised the rapper Nicki Minaj.
How about Nicki Minaj? Do we love Nicki Minaj? Right? I love Nicki Minaj. She was here a couple of weeks ago. She's so beautiful. Her skin's so beautiful. I said, her nails, her nails are not that long. I said, Nikki, are they real? She didn't want to get into that. But she was so beautiful and so great. And she gets it, you know, more importantly, frankly, she gets it. But black leaders from Frederick Douglass to Martin Luther King, right? Little relative over here.
There's some compliments you just don't want, hey?
Yes.
From some people.
Your nails, your skin.
Like mine
She
was
gets
crawling.
it. You get me, Bongani.
My
She
skin was
gets it.
crawling just listening to him
Oh.
talk about Nicki Minaj's skin. Anyway, back to more serious matters. Our president today will be replying to the Sona debate, and that will conclude this phase of the Sona program. As I told you earlier, the US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace holding its first meeting today to discuss what happens next in Gaza. And this week marks the beginning of several important observances. Lent is one. Ramadan also starts, and of course it's the Lunar New Year, including the Chinese New Year, and it's the Year of the Horse. Around the world, millions are going to be embarking on their traditions for a time of fasting, reflection, and even celebration. And for anyone who's observing these occasions, we hope it will be a meaningful period. Adam Gilchrist has a story about 8 skiers found dead after an avalanche in the mountains of California. And it's the birthday of one Smokey Robinson, who turns 86 today. He was born on this day in 1940. A Quiet Storm, Tears of a Clown. You've really got a hold on me. I second that emotion. How many hits has this man written over the years?
But if you feel like loving me, if you got the notion, I second that emotion.
702. Up next.
The Big Interview.
EWN Traffic.
14 after 7, the CWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Those roadworks on the R21 North, Amo.
Really problematic, Bongani, heading towards the city of Tshwane. At this point, I could advise you to use the N1 North through Midrand instead, because you'll be held up for about 10 minutes along the R21 North. If you are traveling on Olifantsfontein Road towards the R21, more delays for you as there's an accident reported there. It's right near the R21 turnoff, is causing heavy traffic volumes, and there's also queuing traffic reported on the N1 South. This is between the Brakfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road due to peak time delays. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Tired of paying more than you need to for your car insurance? Jason, a 45-year-old Outsurance client, is saving big on his 2025 Hyundai i10.
That's true. Outsurance, they saved me an incredible 520 Rand.
And if you're claim-free for 3 years, you get an out bonus.
More and more and more out.
How much could Outsurance save you on your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142.
Saving so much every month, around 640 Rand.
That's right. 27-year-old Liam saves an unbelievable 640 Rand a month on his 2020 Ford Ranger. Enjoy benefits like panic assistance, which sends the nearest medical or armed response unit to you wherever you are. Get a quote now and see how much Outsurance could save you. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
Think fast. Fast downloads, fast streaming, fast wins. Because whether you're chasing high scores, deadlines, or the next episode, buffering is not part of the plan. And that's why your home needs the power of OpenServe Fiber. Fast, reliable Wi-Fi that keeps up with your life. And when you sign up before the end of March, you'll score a free Netflix voucher. Level up your home connection with OpenServe Fiber and feel the difference speed makes. Visit openserve.co.za today. T's and C's apply.
Psst. Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be? The man who introduces himself and people say, I know. The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated. Vitamin High Performance Supplements for men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and vitamin.co.za. Vitamin. Don't get older. Get better.
What do you call someone who thinks outside the box? Creative. But what about someone who codes the box, brands it, sells it, rebrands it, and leads a team that reinvents it? That's a Red and Yellow graduate. Apply now to Unleash Remarkable with Red and Yellow Creative School of Business, a member of Honoris United Universities.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
18 after 7, on to international relations now. Two stories I want to focus on. Firstly, the arrival of the newly appointed U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Brent Bosel, arriving in Pretoria. It comes at a time when relations between Washington and Pretoria have been tense and, of course, under close watch. It also comes as U.S. media reports now that the U.S. may be days before they attack Iran. So let's wade through both those issues. We've got two expert guests, Dr. Kingsley Makhubela, former ambassador, diplomat and policy analyst, and Dr. Terence McNamee, international relations specialist from the Montreal Institute for Global Security. Thank you both for your time. And I'll start with you, Terence. In simple terms, what does Ambassador Bosel's arrival signal about U.S.-South Africa relations, and does it present any opportunities?
Well, thanks, Bongani. I think, firstly, it's worth mentioning that this was not the job that Brent Bosel wanted. I mean, he was originally slated to lead the SU Global Media Organization, but that was closed down by Doge. So the South African posting is something of a consolation prize. But it's pretty clear from his Senate confirmation hearings about what he's coming here to do. He's going to try and influence South Africa on the ICJ case. He's going to try and wean South Africa off China, Russia, Iran, and so forth. And he'll look at some issues like land expropriation without compensation. And then also he's here to facilitate any Afrikaner refugees that want to come to the United States. But I think what's important to emphasize is that we should not try and be too judgmental or dismiss him as a MAGA stooge before he gives his first speech. I mean, frankly, we don't really know if this guy is just a really kind of committed conservative, someone who comes to his beliefs with some principle, or if he's a kind of, MAGA right-wing extremist like Stephen Miller. So I think we should probably show a bit of caution before prejudging him.
Dr. Kingsley Makhubela also joins us for this conversation. And you heard Dr. Terence McNamee there advising caution in terms of how we are to receive the new U.S. ambassador who's just recently arrived in Pretoria. But I've made the comment before that this is an arch conservative. He is a hawk. He is a big supporter of the state of Israel. And is that somebody who is going to be able to cement the relations with Washington or drive that wedge even further? Dr. Makhubela?
Good morning, Bongani. He has to separate what he said during the confirmation hearing with reality on the ground. One of those issues that he needs to manage quite carefully is this idea that he would pressure South Africa to abandon its ICJ case. Pressure is not the appropriate word. Of course, he can lobby South Africa, but he can't exert pressure. So he would start to understand sometimes how to nuance the diplomatic language. He's not a diplomat. He has to be very careful about some of those issues. He has to be very careful about not crossing the line of interfering in the domestic affairs of South Africa and performing his duties, because the duties of diplomats are clearly codified in terms of Article 3 of the Vienna Convention. So those are some of the issues that you need to navigate very carefully.
Terence, your advice for caution notwithstanding, I mean, you would think that if Washington's approach to its relationship with Pretoria is one where we move forward now, they would have sent somebody who can come on a charm offensive, who will disarm Durko, who will disarm President Ramaphosa. I don't see this guy doing that.
No, Bongani, he's definitely not coming on a charm offensive. And I can say that with some authority because in my home country, Canada, right now, we are experiencing this with a very, very Trumpy ambassador by the name of Pete Hoekstra. And he has got the backup of every Canadian, and he has been highly critical, and Canadians have pushed back against him very vociferously in the media, but also provincial premiers. And I think it's instructive to watch what's happening in Canada because, for the most part, the federal government has been quite measured and calm amidst these provocations. So they've kind of let the proxies do the pushback, but he's definitely not coming here on a charm offensive.
So, Kingsley, then, how do we respond? I mean, is this record on repeat? We've seen a number of Trump officials and appointees, political appointees, more or less singing that, White House hymn sheet wherever they go. They are, in a sense, proxies of Trump himself, and they stay on message in terms of what the Trump administration wants to communicate. That won't be an exception in this case. How does South Africa respond?
Bongani, it was Sir Henry Wharton who said an ambassador is an honest man sent to lie abroad for the good of his country.
I like that.
So he has to be very careful that he lies to South African about the United States. He doesn't lie about South Africa to the United States. If he does that, he'll be failing in his diplomatic function. His biggest function, the biggest function of any ambassador, is to improve relations between the two countries. And he has to navigate that very carefully. He has to look into facts in the country. For instance, this idea that there's genocide going on in South Africa. He has to advise his government quite honestly to say there's no such, quietly. So he has to be very careful. He can't lie to them to say, indeed, there's genocide in South Africa. He'll be failing in his duties. So it's a very tight rope that he needs to navigate throughout his tenure as an ambassador in order to become effective.
But Kingsley, does that even matter? Because, for example, we are seeing today the first meeting of Trump's so-called Board of Peace, which, of course, is an effort to go around whatever mechanisms the UN and other established multilateral fora would have done to discuss what happens next in Gaza, whether it's the ceasefire or even eventual reconstruction. This Trump White House does whatever it wants with whomever will agree.
Bongani, I can't wait to see you having him on your program, asking him about the definition of a genocide and looking at the attributed genocide. And then say, we're not discussing any state, we're discussing the concept of genocide. He's going to be in a serious trouble. So he's here on a win-lose mission. He may lose, he may win, but he has to be very objective in terms of articulating certain ideas. One of the issues is to really reaffirm the United States' position towards multilateral institutions, particularly the United Nations Security Council, as a custodian of international peace and security. So what Trump is doing now with the Board of Peace is it to undermine the existing international law? Is he coming here to reaffirm quite honestly that, well, Trump has made it quite clear that he's not going to abide by any international law. He'll use his own intuition and his own feeling in dealing with issues. So those are the dynamics that you're going to face. Now the war drums are beating up in the Persian Gulf. Is he going to be able to try to convince South Africans that, well, this war is legitimate? Well, he would find some people within the coalition government who would listen to him, would agree with him, but you got to be very careful that he doesn't really degenerate into interfering in internal affairs.
Well, I would imagine even those in the GNU that may be inclined to agree with him also have to walk a very tight rope. Terence McNamee, we are being told now that we may be days away from an attack on Iran, possibly a joint US-Israeli attack. Iran, of course, has said it is ready for any eventuality, and that might happen as soon as this weekend. What is your reading of the developments there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the war drums are beating, but, the United States is not oblivious to 2003 and Iraq. And they know that if they kick off an operation whilst negotiations are still ongoing, And whilst there is some perception that the regime is making concessions, this will be problematic. So I think that, whilst negotiations are happening, I think the focus should be on, what is the Tehran regime? What are they willing to give up? And I know that the Trump administration will be pushing very, very hard for to exact some extreme concessions, but I don't think they want to be perceived as going to war.
Do they? Well,
in
hold
a
on,
situation.
Terence. Do they care? I mean, you mentioned 2003. Even when the Bush administration tried to sell the idea of weapons of mass destruction, that's when the U.S. still cared about international opinion. They did what they wanted regardless, right? This Trump White House doesn't seem to even be bothered with that kind of international consensus, if you will. The military buildup in the Gulf is pretty obvious in terms of how menacing its intent might be. Isn't that a generous interpretation?
I think that even a Trump administration wants to be able to justify its actions and wants to root them in some sense of international law. You remember even the overthrow of Maduro in Venezuela was premised on this grand jury indictment. And the United States was very clear, despite some of the bluster by Trump, that we're not here to colonize, we're not here to take over the country, and so forth. Whatever you may feel about that, I don't think the United States, even the Trump administration, as kind of bullying as they be, that they are oblivious to how their actions may be perceived. Now, of course, they want to see the back of the Iranian regime. But I don't think that whilst negotiations show some promise of the regime doing something, that they will do this. I could, of course, be proven wrong, but that's my sense.
All right. We'll let you have the last word on these issues. Kingsley Makubela. Cuba is the other big story, of course, that oil, what would we call it, blockade. That also predicted to be days away, that government from falling simply because Cuba has ground to a halt.
Bongani, if you have followed the discussion within the Capitol Hill following the Maduro abduction, the question has been centered around who has the authority to declare war. And that's why they were very careful not to want to indicate that there was some form of a declaration of war going into Venezuela. But going into war with Iran and going into war into Cuba would definitely feed into the jurisdiction function of Congress. And now, given the fact that this is the midterm election year, Trump will be very careful that any casualties that he may incur in Iran may raise serious question and possible impeachment for the violation of the Constitution. So he's quite aware. He doesn't have enough support, even within the Republicans. They're starting to be very wary, particularly within the Senate, about some of his activities.
So self-interest in the end and not principle. We'll have to leave it there.
Absolutely.
Both of you, thank you very much. My guests this morning, Dr. Terence McNamee, International Relations Specialist from the Montreal Institute for Global Security, and of course the former diplomat, risk analyst, and public relations executive, Dr. Kingsley Makubela.
EWN
Business news. Confidence looking up in South Africa, Muteo Hwaripet. This is something we welcome.
Yeah, quite positive. The South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry's Business Confidence Index averaging 121.7 points for 2025, which is the highest annual average recorded since 2013. Now, although it dipped slightly to 131 in January of 2026, it's still at a healthy level. Things like travel revenues, precious metal prices, a healthy stock market returns, as well as new vehicle sales in the country have all contributed to the positive sentiment. SAICI has, however, flagged weakness in manufacturing and merchandise exports as a worry. The Chamber of Commerce says it's important that the positive sentiment is turned into real economic action.
Consumer price inflation down.
Yeah, South Africa's consumer price inflation dropped to 3.5%. Food inflation remains steady at 4.4% for the third month, with cereal products slowing down, while white rice experienced its 11th month of deflation. 3 beef products recorded the highest annual rates of all 391 products in the inflation basket as the foot and mouth outbreak drove up prices there. These were beefsteak, which is up 31%, stewing beef up 30%, with beef mince up 28%.
A rabbit steak doesn't quite do it, hey?
No, but we need to learn to be open to other proteins.
Where's the rand?
16.08 against the US dollar, quite weak at 18 rand 95 against the euro, and at 21 rand 68 against the British pound. Price of gold, $4,987 an ounce, or platinum, it's at $2,070. Brent crude at $70.45 a barrel. More business after 8.
Mr. Zulu, more trouble for one of South Africa's leading public hospitals.
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. Patients at Steve Biko Academic Hospital are experiencing delays in scheduled procedures as the facility grapples with serious infrastructure challenges. Elective surgeries have been placed on hold, with only emergency operations currently being performed. The disruption follows the failure of the hospital's aging heating, ventilation, as well as the air conditioning system originally commissioned in 2006. But it has left several sections of the hospital, including the theatre complex, without adequate temperature control. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Lehlohonolo Majake says contingency measures have been implemented, including the use of external theatres to minimize the impacts.
We've had a significant portion of the theatre complex being impacted, which has resulted in an additional slowdown. And we wish to really urge the community to understand that emergencies are still ongoing, and over time we will resume with the standard elective procedures.
The city of Ekurhuleni says the metro is stable despite troubles within the ANC-led coalition. The EFF announced its withdrawal from the coalition yesterday following Mayor Dr. Xhakaza's cabinet reshuffle. The EFF seats have been cut from 4 to 2, while ActionSA's mayoral candidate Xolani Khumalo has been appointed MMC for Community Services and Bylaw Enforcement. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Following a cabinet reshuffle by Ekurhuleni Mayor Dr. Xhakaza, both the EFF and ActionSA claimed they were never consulted before the changes were announced. ActionSA has since refused to be part of the ANC-led coalition, while the EFF has officially withdrawn from the pact. As a result, Xhakaza's mayoral committee has been reduced to just 7 members, with 3 positions now standing vacant. Despite this, Ekurhuleni spokesperson Phakamile Mbengashe says everything is under control.
The municipality is definitely still intact. Service delivery has not been interrupted. The administration remains. We have our long-term plans. Residents can be rest assured that service delivery will continue. What happens in the political environment will sort itself out.
This also leaves the ANC leading a minority government and without a crucial 50+1 majority. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
The NPA has welcomed a decision to backtrack on a previous ruling to let former Free State Premier Esma Khashule's ex-personal assistant off the hook for corruption. Moradi Cholota is accused of getting kickbacks from a botched multi-million rand asbestos tender. Last year, Cholota challenged her extradition from the US, calling it unlawful and a witch hunt by the NPA after she refused to turn state witness and testify against her former boss. While the Constitutional Court agreed her extradition was unlawful, it didn't believe it was grounds not to go ahead with prosecution. Cholota is now expected back in court with Makhashule, businessman Edwin Sodi, and others accused of fraud, corruption, money laundering, and racketeering when the main trial resumes next month. NPA spokesperson Tunzi Maga says the state has been vindicated.
We are here now back and hoping that we will resume the trial and that any perception of the NPA's inability to prosecute these cases finds no favor anyway.
And a South Korean court will rule today on insurrection charges against ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol, weighing whether he should be sentenced to death for his failed bid to impose military rule. Yoon abruptly declared martial law in a televised address in 2024, saying drastic measures were needed to root out anti-state forces in South Korea's National Assembly. The 65-year-old hardline conservative was later impeached, arrested and charged with a litany of charges ranging from insurrection to obstruction of justice. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 15 and 17 degrees, peaking at highs between 29 and 30.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays in Clayville, Tembisa. This is due to a major accident seen on Olifantsfontein Road. It happened right near the R21 turnoff. It's causing heavy delays along several roads within the area. Hoof Road is heavily backed up. Olifantsfontein Road heavily backed up along with industry roads. So please be on the lookout there and approach with care.
The top story this hour, patients at Steve Biko Academic Hospital are experiencing delays in scheduled procedures as the facility grapples with serious infrastructure problems.
Clement Maniatella,
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Can you be honest with us, Michael? Are you telling me that as ActionSA, there were no other positions you were interested in? So even if they had given you 3 more positions, you didn't want it because you don't want to be part of the government in Ekurhuleni?
Correct. As a matter of fact, the response from our president to the mayor was, if you offer us the mayoralty, we'll consider. Because when we are led in a coalition by mayors who have proven incapable of leading complicated cities like Dada Morero, like Mayor Kakazi here, is a situation where we'll find ourselves subjugated to inadequate leadership that fails the residents of Ekurhuleni at a critical time where we need to be the alternative. And you can't be the alternative if you're reporting to the people that you need to be the alternative to.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Are you ready to let go of your ride in the new year? We Buy Cars makes it easy, even enjoyable, to part ways with your vehicle. Simply complete their form on webuycars.co.za. They'll handle the rest. Looking to upgrade your car? With over 12,000 vehicles for sale, you're certainly spoilt for choice. Visit webuycars.co.za today.
Get the advantage this tax year end with Sage. No stress, no scrambling. Just seamless HR and payroll that keeps you ahead of UIF, PAYE, and employment equity. All in one smart cloud solution. With automated compliance, real-time accuracy, and simplified HR and payroll. Give your business the tax year end advantage. That's Sage. Visit tax.sage.co.za today.
The Checkers Extravaganza is now on, with over 1,500 deals every week. Like Cape Point frozen prawn meat 400 grams for $89.99. Clover Long Life milk 1 litre 6-pack for $94.99. Save 25 Rand. And Baker's mini cheddars or biscuits 200 grams, any 2 for 70 Rand. Save 24 Rand. Valid until 22 February. Only at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning 702 land. The first time I heard about the story of the doctor and the daughter was on a YouTube channel. It's called True Crime Something. They showcased all the horrific crimes that are happening in South Africa. Everything that you can think of is on that channel. And my God, the shock that shook my whole life. Imagine deliberately unaliving your own father because of hearsay. Make it make sense. You just lost your mother, and this is the only person that is supposed to be the pillar of strength in your life. And then you are just going to decide, no, they must go. Just like that. Yo.
Morning, Bongani and team. Charlotte in Rotherport. I'm from Limpopo. I was born there. I grew up there. And it's very sad that in 2026, when a family member dies, the first point of reference is to check with a prophet or a Sangoma, check for witchcraft, and check who's responsible for the death, without considering all other factors or medical conditions. And on a lighter note, I can share with you, we've installed a swimming pool at home in Limpopo. And when I shared on my social media, I was flooded with messages that they must not bewitch you. They must not bewitch you because of a swimming pool. And this is from people in Limpopo and outside Limpopo. And that's the reality. We have a very long way to go. These things are still going to happen where people kill each other because Sangoma pointed a finger that they've bewitched somebody.
Gosh, hey? And the difficulty with belief is how people interpret their experiences based on that worldview. And so because something happened to someone, their lens is difficult to take off because that's how they experienced it, right? I've often told the story where I and my cousin were once confronted by what we really believed okay, this is 1990. I'm about 15 years old, Cindy. We thought it was a demon. If you could imagine what a 150-year-old man might look like, bent over, wrinkled, with an enormous head, this thing kept crawling and coming towards us. My cousin ran instantly. I was made of sterner things. I had faith. I tried to cast it out in the name. And the closer this thing got to me,
What did it do?
I then obviously got scared.
This is
and
crazy.
I started running. But my worldview could only interpret that thing as some kind of demon. It turned out it was neighborhood kids wearing a mask.
Hysterical.
And they were laughing.
After all that, you thought it was Tokoloshi.
But the point I'm making is, if I hadn't heard them laugh and seen them take off the mask, I would have, to this day, believed. I confronted. I stood toe to toe. I faced.
That's okay. A lot of
see what I
people
mean?
face demons every single day and choose to interpret it the way they want.
And that's the problem with experience and belief, is it not?
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by OutSurance, your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later, 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask OutSurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from James. James, you've got today's answer. Good morning. What is it, please?
Good morning, Uncle Bongs and the team. Yes, today's answer is 1940.
1940. Ooh, that's an
Yes.
interesting one, James. And tell me, have you got yourself a
Yes.
quote from OutSurance?
Oh, yes, Uncle Bongs.
The Sangoma says I must give you money.
Oh, thank you.
Your biscuit. 1,000
Oh,
Rand is
wonderful.
coming your way thanks to 702 and OutSurance. James says the answer is 1940. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
Predictably, Cindy Paluta, I'm not wearing my Pirates nor my Arsenal jerseys this morning.
Because you wore them yesterday, so they're in the wash. That's the reason.
Yes.
You only have one of each.
Yes.
So
Stick to
I am wearing yellow today, for those of you asking on the YouTube. And it's not honestly because Sundowns won last night. It is genuinely because I have a meeting at 10:30 and I wanted to come across as a happy individual. That is the only reason. But
And
I
you'll
am-
be the wrong yellow anyway.
But I
That's
am
closer
a-
to Chiefs yellow.
It's still yellow. I'm not in black and red today, and that's for a reason. And the reason is because Mamelodi Sundowns beat Orlando Pirates last night 2-1 to close the gap to 3 points. Before you all come for me, I do not support Sundowns. I just support anybody but Orlando Pirates because the whole of 702 supports Orlando Pirates. Right. Leon with both Sundowns goals 4 minutes apart. They took the lead at the break. Maswangani scored the Pirates goal after halftime. Pirates coach Abislam Wadu says the title race is not done.
If you ask me that question when 5 games left, I would be agree with you that the number of the game that we still have, for me, we have to work, to give everything, because you can have many surprises.
And the night's other game, Stellenbosch held by bottom of the table, Magesi 1-0. Premier League leaders, Arsenal wasted a 2-goal lead in a 2-2 draw with bottom of the table Wolves. Adozi equalised for Wolves in the 94th minute. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta.
We always done it, but you are as strong as to show it the next time you do it. To talk and say it here, it's simple, and we have to do it on the pitch. Well, I mean, that's an obvious thing, no? If you are at the top and you have to win, you have to win and win and win. So that's nothing new. Everything will be like this from the first game when they play Arsenal.
In the Champions League, Newcastle thrashed Qarabağ 6-1. Gordon scored 4 goals. Bodo Glimt stunned Inter Milan 3-1. Club Brugge held Atletico 3-3 by Leverkusen with a 2-0 win over Olympiacos. In rugby, the Sharks have appointed JP Peterson as permanent coach. Peterson had been interim coach since November when John Plumtree stepped aside. And at the T20 Cricket World Cup, the Proteas beat the UAE by 6 wickets yesterday, coming through the group stages unbeaten. Their first match of the Super 8 is against India on Sunday. India's national broadcaster, Star Sports, has touched a nerve with its promo for the match. The advert, set in a coffee shop, has an Indian and a South African cricket fan both dashing for the last cupcake. The cupcake a reference to the nickname of our president. The SA fan gets the cupcake, and while eating it, the Indian fan says sorry. And confused, the South African says, for what? And the Indian fan says, for beating South Africa in the 2024 T20 World Cup. And shocked, the South African starts to choke. And that's a pot shot at the Proteas Chokers
Wow.
tag. That's Super 8 game in India against India
On Sunday.
Cindy Polita, Eyewitness News Sport.
Pedal Power Association proudly supports the Cape Town Cycle Tour, and it's more than just a ride, as every entry helps change a life. Proceeds from the race are donated to communities in need, opening doors to education, work and independence. And for every 20 cyclists who enter from Jozi, one bicycle is donated to a community in need. So when you pedal, you're not just riding for yourself, you're helping communities move forward. Go to capetowncycletour.com, proudly supported by Prime Media Cares.
Let's be honest, Africa could be doing way better, but complaining won't change anything. Getting involved will. If you care about Africa's future and want to be part of something that disrupts the status quo, then this is for you. Download the Our Platform app, which focuses on problem solving, global competitiveness, and self-love. Africa is changing the narrative. Don't get left behind. Download Our Platform. Say hello to the new look Africa.
Different sounds, different worlds.
Different artistic expressions, music, art, and fashion collide. Are you coming? Let's go to the place where the beat drops, the fashion pops, and the art rocks.
We're talking Focalistic, Daliwonga, Mafigi Zolo, Kurt Darren, Matera Doughboy, Zoe Mujija, Claire Johnston from Mango Groove, the Tswani Gospel Choir, and more. Mahindra Fusion Fest, Saturday 7th March, Sunbet Arena. Tickets on Ticketmaster now. See you there.
South Africa's youth face a real crisis. 8.8 million young people between 18 and 35 not in education, employment, or training. But there is a solution. SA Youth is the country's largest free online youth recruitment platform, connecting employers to over 4.5 million young work seekers. Join the Chief Impact Officer at Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator on The Money Show with Stephen Grootes next Tuesday from 7:10 p.m. We'll be talking about how SA Youth are breaking barriers only on 702. Let's walk the talk.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Persia. Pretty tough. There's a crash in Tembisa, Amo.
That's correct, Bongani. It's along Olifantsfontein Road. As a result, several routes within the area heavily backed up. The routes affected include Industry Road as well as Hoof Road. If you're traveling along Olifantsfontein Road towards the R21, please try to be patient along this route, as you'll already find yourself in the mess. But if you can avoid it, please try to use alternative routes like the N1 North, especially if you're heading towards the city of Tshwane this morning. And then, of course, if you're traveling on the R21, those roadworks are still causing heavy delays towards Olifantsfontein Road turn off. Heading towards Germiston, do expect heavy traffic volumes along the N12 west, that just as you approach the Giluli's interchange. There's also queuing traffic. Speaking of Germiston, this is along the N17 west between Osborne Road and the Rand Airport interchange. That's due to roadworks that are taking place along that route. Please be on the lookout there. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When your business needs strength, reliability, and serious capability, look no further than the Persia Professional Pickup Range. Built tough for South African conditions, Persia pickups are engineered for fleets, professionals, and the agricultural heroes who keep this country moving. From rugged load capacity to fuel-efficient performance, these pickups work as hard as you do. So whether you're building, delivering, or farming, Persia has a model that's ready for the job. Visit your nearest Persia dealership today and power your business with the confidence of Persia Professional. Landtrack, it's pretty but tough.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
In business, the right connections change everything. It's the stability you need for that once-in-a-lifetime virtual pitch, the lightning-fast speeds that keep you ahead of deadlines, and the consistent high-quality signal your teams rely on every day. Because when your connectivity works seamlessly, so does your business. Power your workday with fast, reliable fiber from OpenServe, built to keep your operations running at full speed. Visit openserve.co.za today to learn more. T's and C's apply.
How would you like to lighten the load when it comes to getting your freight there conveniently and on time? You can with a tag. No scrambling around for cash or a card. Less time wasted. Choose the convenient way. To drive smart, download the Sanral app to link your cards and manage top-up payments for your convenience. For more info, visit sunral.co.za. Tags are the way to go. Sunral, an agency of the Department of Transport.
702. What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to OutSurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is 1940, we've got Notile in Randburg. Notile, what's the question?
Good morning, Bongani. The question is, in which year was the American singer-songwriter Smokey Robertson born, who turns 86 years old today, known for the hits I Second That Emotion?
All right. You've got it.
Tears of a Clown.
You've got it, Notile. Who was also a Motown singer in the 1960s. I mean, you can go on and on and on. Congratulations, Notila. That is indeed the question. 2,000 Rand coming your way.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
to OutSurance.
Let me be the pendulum that strikes your chair for the first time. I'm a cuckoo, I know, counting hours till we will be together. When the door to my heart will open, it's for sure that I will be hoping you're looking good, girl, all over again. Hey there, Miss Brown, I want you to know I love you. You're brown as the sand, you're soft as the shore. You're leaving me hungry and crying for more. Oh, weeping me, girl, you're such a star, and I want you to know that. You know what, girl? I love you.
With OutSurance, I'm saving a whole 729 Rand.
Another satisfied OutSurance client saving more money every month. 32-year-old Perushka saves 729 Rand a month on her 2020 Haval H2. And after 3 claim-free years, she gets an out bonus.
Yes, I'm ready for that out bonus.
How much money could OutSurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
She loves me not.
Hey,
she
Tibbs, what are you doing?
Matt, I'm trying to decide between flowers or chocolates for Valentine's Day.
Nah, forget that, bud. Get her something she'll really love.
Like what?
Well, Barron's are having amazing deals on Vivos, Polos, and T-Crosses.
Eish, she does need a new car.
Exactly. Barron's have deals on Vivos for $2,990 per month, Polos for $3,990, and T-Crosses from only $4,990.
Get deals you'll love this month at Barron's Woodmead and Bruma today. Barron's, the Volkswagen people.
In my industry, the mission is to turn the G in GDP green. After all, good business shouldn't cost the earth.
Get financial solutions for environmental and social impact. With RMB, sustainability yields more than good intentions. Trees and Cs apply. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
Your brain's a well-oiled machine. Now put it to work in the brain of 702. Enter on PrimeMediaPlus.com. T's and C's apply.
Naked people run faster.
Because naked people spend less time on insurance admin and more time working on their personal bests. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
702
702. What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
Time now for the world of viral content. Kabazela. All right, we don't seem to have Kabazela on the line there. Do we have Kabazela? Nope, the connection not working. So perhaps let's just go straight to feedback.
702
702. Feedback.
with Siamtanda Matiso.
Not sure what happened there with Kabazela, but Siamtanda Matiso in the hot seat.
Morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you? Sorry, you caught me off guard.
We were talking about names
Yes.
about an hour or so ago. Seal's birthday it is today as well. I
Mhm.
bet you a lot of people thought that would be the what's the question.
Exactly.
He's got 5 names.
Yeah, and I wonder if because other listeners also mentioned that they have additional names to the point that it's been reduced on their ID because they have so many names. And I didn't know that the Home Affairs
There's
can
a
do
limit.
that. There's a limit of names that you can have on your ID
I didn't know
book.
that either.
So I would love to hear more from those. I just love that I have just 2 names.
What's your other name?
My other name is Ruth. I was
Aw.
baptized. So I'm Siamtanda Ruth Matiso.
That's your Christian name.
That's my Christian
Oh,
name.
my
I didn't
word.
include it on my ID, which my mom was very upset with because I was ashamed at the time. So Home Affairs came to our school and I was like, this is the perfect time. I can just not place it there.
Delete.
And when it came back, I was in trouble.
I also find it fascinating. There are so many people whose names have changed since childhood.
Yes.
People in my circles who used their English names, for example, growing up,
Yeah.
who now use their African names exclusively. I find
And I
that
love
interesting.
that actually because it just shows that they love their African names and they're proud of it and they're proud of using it.
I'd be keen to know, how many names do you have? And are you one of those who's done that switch? You were called this name growing up and now you're called by another. What else you got?
Listen, many are concerned about the U.S. President Donald Trump's nomination of Leo, who arrived in South Africa. They kind of remembered Reuben Brigade. Do you remember when he made those false accusations that SA supplied arms to
we've been through a lot,
Russia?
eh?
You know what I mean? So they are hoping that he would be different and he will create a more like a relation between us, not division. But also, Bongs, you did ask, is there a family or a friend that you just don't trust that you would not defend? Many people reacted to that, and that's based on your 10 to 7 interview of the
What a
doctor.
horror story.
Yeah. Many are actually asking whether the aunt, the family member that advised her, should also be arrested when it comes
As
to
far as I
this.
know, I mean, I think she said, the NPA spokesperson, that she was also a conspirator as far as this is concerned. But maybe we'll just double check to find out if she has been sentenced in this awful, awful story. We'll give you that answer coming up after this Eyewitness News.
This is EWN.
Shadrach Sibia says the PKTT was not effective, and Mark Zuckerberg defends his company in a landmark social media addiction trial. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrach Sibia has described the political killings task team as non-prolific and ineffective. Sibia yesterday presented the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry with audit findings of hundreds of case dockets under investigation by the PKTT. He claims, according to the findings, that many of the dockets were last updated years ago, with some dating back to the year it was formed in 2018.
There's a notion that says that the PKTT is the most effective, hardworking, prolific team that is operating. But under the circumstances where I'm sitting with so many dockets that were last seen in 2018, 2017, 2020, I can't say they were effective at all.
Sibia has also defended and denied ever being friends with alleged criminal kingpin Vusmuzi Ket Matlala, but he's confirmed that he knew Matlala and met him on several occasions. Oren Singh takes a look.
Shadrach Sibia has denied a friendship with alleged criminal kingpin and tender tycoon Vuzi Cat Matlala.
The National Commission alleges that it was indicated to him that I am close friends with Mr. Matlala. I vehemently deny that I am or have ever been.
Sibia first met Matlala at his office in January 2024. Matlala approached Sibia to assist with utilizing the police college to conduct his work around his 360 million rand police health scheme tender.
We didn't develop a friendship, but we have interacted, and not to a level or to a point where I could say we were now friends.
Sibia will continue with his testimony for the rest of the week. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
The battle lines between the ANC and DA have once again been drawn as Parliament wrapped up debate on the State of the Nation address. While the DA says it's not just in the government of national unity to get along with its coalition partners, the ANC says the party must choose whether it wants to be in government or the opposition. The continuous issue of broad-based black economic empowerment has featured frequently over the two-day debate after President Cyril Ramaphosa made it clear in his address a week ago that the ANC's policy would not be abandoned. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
Sweeping the marathon debate, the DA's Deputy Chief Whip, Baxolile Nodada, says his party will not be a passive participant of the ANC's policies in the government of national unity.
The DA will definitely challenge BEE, which is a cadre enrichment scheme dressed up as redress. It must be replaced by the DA's empowerment model that focuses on poverty as a matrix of empowerment.
As the final speaker, International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola was quick to hit back at the DA's role in the GNU, pointing out that achievements the DA has been crediting to themselves have been made on the back of the ANC's groundwork. Lamola says the GNU does not mean bearing black economic empowerment initiatives which are aimed at benefiting the marginalized and excluded.
Black economic empowerment, affirmative action, is a constitutional imperative. This must sink in, even to the Democratic Alliance.
President Ramaphosa will respond to the debate this afternoon. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
A lawyer for one of the accused in the murder case of e-hailing driver Isaac Sattler says his client intends to plead guilty to charges laid against him. This follows a brief appearance of 3 additional suspects in the matter yesterday in the Pretoria Magistrates Court. Sattler's body was found in Attridgeville last week alongside his car, which had captured this dashcam footage of his murder. Accused number 4 in the case, who plans to plead guilty, will join 5 other suspects in the dock next week. They all face charges including premeditated murder, kidnapping and robbery with aggravating circumstances. Dimakaso Lechoro has more.
Timisha Mabutla, his girlfriend, Offenses Sinwamadi, as well as Tabang Motwa are believed to have participated in Sattler's robbery and murder. Mabutla is facing charges of premeditated murder and robbery with aggravating circumstances, while accused number 5, Sinwamadi, has been charged with premeditated murder and robbery with aggravating circumstances as an accessory after the fact, while Mota faces a charge of robbery with aggravating circumstances as an accessory after the fact. Lawyer representing accused number 4 and 5, Tabiso Mphahlele, confirmed that accused number 4 will not be applying for bail and intends to plead guilty to the charges against him.
We are going to plead. We will not intend to waste anyone's time, including the state's time.
The matter has been postponed to next week to allow accused number 6 time to secure legal representation. Dimakazo Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg says he regrets the tech company's slow progress in identifying underage users on Instagram. Zuckerberg faced stinging criticism at a landmark social media trial over accusations that his company deliberately hooked children. Asked to comment on complaints from inside the company that not enough was being done to verify whether children under 13 were using the platform, the 41-year-old head of Meta, which also owns Facebook and WhatsApp, said improvements had been done. The trial marked the first time the multi-billionaire addressed the safety of his world-dominating platforms directly before a jury and under oath. Florida Attorney General James Utmar says big tech companies should be held accountable.
People at home are preying on your kids. They're soliciting information. They are deviants. They want to do bad things, and you are the first line of defense. So again, I'll say, parents, wake up. If you do not know what your kids are doing on their cell phones, you better figure it out today.
Gold is trading at $4,979.40 an ounce. The rand is at 16.08 to the dollar, 21.68 to the pound, 18.95 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $70.60 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North between the Yelands turn-off and the Geldenhuys interchange. This is due to roadworks that are taking place between the 2 points. There's also queuing traffic in Tembisa along the R21 North approaching Olifantsfontein Road due to more roadworks.
And in your sport, Orlando Pirates lost to Sundowns 2-1 to only lead by 3 in the Premiership. Bottom of the Premier League, Wolves held leaders Arsenal to a 2-2 draw. The Proteas' next game at the T20 Cricket World Cup is a Super 8 match against India on Sunday. And in rugby, the Sharks have appointed JP Peterson as head coach.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 29 and 30. The top story in EWN this hour. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya has described the political Killings Task Team as non-prolific and ineffective.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Your brain's a well-oiled machine. Now put it to work in the brain of 702. Enter on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes after 8 o'clock, we spoke a little earlier to the Limpopo National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson Mashudu Malabi Zangi, who was telling us about this awful case. It's got all sorts of intrigues, is it not? Belief, influence, accountability, traditional healers. A man's daughter has been sentenced to life imprisonment for organizing hitmen to kill her father. Why? Because her mother died from a heart condition and the aunt became an instigator in making this woman believe that her father was responsible. They approached a prophet who confirmed the aunt's suspicions. Then they went to a Sangoma who pointed at the father. So they tried to poison the guy, and he didn't die. And when that didn't work, they hired the hitmen. A number of you have been asking questions. The woman in question is obviously now behind bars, serving a life sentence. So are the hitmen. And the Sangoma has pleaded guilty to being the instigator. So what happened to the aunt? A number of you have been asking. Well, Mashudu Malabi Zangi says the aunt has now been charged as well, and her trial is going to begin later this year. But you can already see how the dominoes will fall in place. Isn't that a shocking story? I asked the question earlier, are there people in your close circle, friends or family, you wouldn't defend? You hear the worst thing about them and you think, yeah, I can see it.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Mutewa?
Look, I think I'm shocked by the many listeners that have responded to that particular question, because you'd think people you know well in your family, you'd readily defend because you know them well. But as life would have it, reality is sometimes even the shady characters come from our own families, our own friends, our own circles.
And the truth is we know, right?
Yeah.
We know. I often wonder when somebody is charged with a really, really serious offense and what showing up for them looks like, right? A close friend, a family member is charged with a really, really serious offense, and you hear all kinds of ugly details about what was done. What does showing up for them look like? Or are there moments where you have to just say, principle over whatever ties we may have? I cannot be associated with somebody who does this or who does that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, how does this family navigate this story? Because the woman who organized hitmen to kill her father has a brother. How does that young man deal with what his sister did to their own father? You see what I mean? We also spoke about Seal, the singer, who has a number of names. I think it's got about 5. How many do you have, Amo? 2, you said.
Oh, just one.
Just the one. Oh, it's Muteo.
Muteo has 2.
And he won't tell us what the other one.
And he won't tell us the other one. And you also have 1.
Yeah, I only have 1 too. You know those people who grow up and they are Johnny, and then later on in life, they become a Muteo? Was your name Johnny?
No.
Morning, Bongani and the team. Morning. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Regarding the names, Bongani, I'm Paulo Augusto dos Santos Armando Costa. Costa is my surname. And then we write it in a Portuguese way. Cossa.
Oh, wow. Name changes as you grow up. I know so many people who I grew up with who have now taken different names, particularly African names, moving away from the English ones. That also happens.
Let's talk.
We're listening.
Early this year, I met a friend of mine who I grew up with, and he looked like he was not okay. And I asked him, he said, no, he had food poisoning. He went to a family gathering and he was poisoned. And I wanted to myself, do these things still happen? Like I remember when I was young, we were told never to eat as long as we were not home. By the neighbor's house, friend's house, auntie's house, uncle's house, we were told never to eat. If we were offered food, we were told you must tell them you're not hungry, never eat. You know, and I remember a lot of kids were poisoned. You'll hear the adults talking or in school saying that no, so-and-so died. Apparently, their child, so-and-so's child was poisoned. What? And you'll find you're in school, they said your classmate died. No, it was food poisoning. And you'd wonder, like, do people really go and kill children? And it still happens even today.
Yeah, what a shocking story, Bongani. What about the aunt? She was also supposed to be thrown in jail, you know? I feel so sorry for the young boy who doesn't now have a mother, doesn't have a father, doesn't have a sister. Just for people who cannot accept that people who, they do die without being killed, you know? Anyway, Lindeni here in Kalama.
Good morning, Bongani. Bongani, you know the story you are talking about this morning of an aunt who convinced her niece or nephew that her father is the one who killed her mother. Resonates well with me. There was a time where my aunt, Mama Kholwaka, told me that my own mother is bewitching me. That's why my life will never amount to anything. Only to find that it was her who was actually doing that. She wanted me to hate my mother. She wanted me to kill my mother. So it's very sad. Had I listened to her, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Gosh, the things we do to each other as families. And even that voice note that refers to food poisoning. You could get seriously ill from food poisoning. But it doesn't necessarily mean there was foul play. Right? And I think sometimes people would hear the word poisoning and they would think there has to be a human hand behind it. You could have eaten the wrong thing at the wrong time. But it doesn't mean there was foul play. You know what I mean? You could have had it at Mutewa's house. He got food poisoning when he went to Mutewa's house. And now the whole family believes Mutewa did something to the child.
Yeah, well, it's different at a family gathering. If no other person is having that issue, I mean, why are you the only one?
Maybe you ate it later than everybody else. Matimba, you're in Centurion. You want to talk about last night's game? Do you want to rub it in?
I want to rub it in.
Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead. I'm here for it.
You and Clement.
I've
Both
done
of
my
you.
crime.
You and Clement.
I've done my crime. Go ahead, hit me.
Sorry, Bongani. Sundowns is the biggest team in Africa. You guys must admit it. And please tell your sport reporter to always report on Sundowns. It's not only about Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates. Mamelodi Sundowns is the biggest team in Africa. biggest team in the world. They know us.
To be fair, we always report about Sundowns games, as we do all of the top flight teams.
Yeah.
In our football.
I don't know. But thank you. I love your show. I listen to it every day. It's Matimba Miyuku from Centurion.
Thank you,
I love your show every day. I love you.
Matimba, thank you for all that love. Let me make you feel even better. I'm going to paraphrase something I read in News 24 today, where the writer said they described that goal in the second half by Swangani, and they said that goal gave Pirates fans the kind of hope that quickly fizzles, like that of a child stood up by their deadbeat father. That's painful. One. That's painful.
Love you, bro.
Intara. Matimba calling us in Centurion. And of course, if you've been off the planet, you will now know that big game at the FNB Stadium yesterday, Orlando Pirates losing to the defending champions in terms of the league, Sundowns, 2-1. Now there's 3 points separating those two teams. And I think Sundowns have a game in hand, don't they?
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Bongani and the team. Bongani, make it make sense. So we just played a voice note from Pope Leo talking about not joining the Board of Peace. Just after that, you spoke about America ready to strike Iran. So how, and on the same lines again, there's a meeting today, the first meeting of the Board of Peace. Is it really Board of Peace if they are ready to strike Iran? So what's going to happen then after striking Iran? Then they're going to do the same thing that they're doing to Gaza. Bongani, it doesn't make sense. Thanks.
Well, as Dr. Terence McNamee, our expert after 7, cautioned, there may be other considerations for this Trump White House, because ultimately, in American law, presidents don't go to war without the approval of Congress. And there are some concerns in the U.S. right now in Congress, both in terms of the House of Representatives and the Senate, as to whether this is the correct course of action. And of course, were he to do so, with the midterm elections coming up shortly, perhaps Trump could find himself in hot water down the line. But on the other hand, Montero, you would have seen, as you were reporting just the other day, there's this massive military buildup in the Gulf, particularly near the Straits of Hormuz. Right? There's that Abraham Lincoln, that aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
There's another one making its way.
Battleship going into the region.
Into the Mediterranean. And there are all kinds of military drills. And I don't know if that's all saber-rattling to scare the Iranians into signing a deal, or if indeed action will take place. We scoffed at the idea of what he could do to Venezuela, the narco dictator, as he called, as they refer to Maduro. Do you ignore this kind of noise and say the U.S. won't do it?
No, you don't, especially since the White House says, Iran would be very wise to make a deal. And at the same time, there are ships going into the region, really strong arming Iran into this particular negotiation.
And Netanyahu was in Washington just a few days ago. And so we don't know. It may be days away. It might not happen. We wait and see.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by OutSurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. The slow traffic on the N1 North. Can you tell us why?
Bongani, this is in the Waterfall area. This is due to a major accident seen right near the Allendale Road off-ramp. It's causing delays from the Baku interchange. There's also queuing traffic along the R21 North towards Oliphants-Fontaine Road. That's due to roadworks as well as an accident scene. So please be on the lookout there and try to use the N1 North through Midrand as an alternative to head towards the city of Tshwane. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The OutSurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a nervous but excited first-time driver waiting for the perfect gap to switch lanes. I can do this. The pressure. The OutSurance pointsman knows it's not just a car in traffic. It's a sense of freedom and independence on the move. Every story is different and every story matters.
That's why the OUTsurance Pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
22 after 8, let's catch up with news from elsewhere in the world. Adam, we'll start with avalanches in the Northern Hemisphere, both in the US and in Europe.
Yeah, and obviously we're talking mountainous regions. There have been 2 avalanches in the French Alps that have claimed 3 lives, all of them British skiers as it happens. But the death toll in the European ski season just in the French Alps is now 28. So that's since essentially the start of December. And overall across Europe's ski resorts, snow-related deaths, many of them are not avalanches, but other forms, people crashing into things, etc. It's now 60. That seems a lot, but I gather the annual rate is about 100 lives lost
and I'm
every
from
year.
Johannesburg. I'm staying in Malaysia currently. 702 helped me through my depression, my divorce, COVID. So I'm very, very happy that 702 helped me through all of those years. And I'm still going to continue listening to you guys from the morning to the evening. And yeah, thank you, 702.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
All right, some technical issue there. I don't know if we still have Adam on the line. Adam, are you still there?
Hello. I am still here.
Apologize
yes.
for that. Gremlins
No,
in the
cool.
system. As always, we lost just that last bit in
Sure.
that story.
Well, talking about European avalanches and an annual rate of 100 lives lost in skiing-related or snow-related incidents. But we've got this avalanche in California. You don't always think of snow in California, but up in Northern California around Lake Tahoe, there was a group of 15, 4 guides and 11 skiers set out on a 3-day expedition. And some of them have not made it back because of, as they put it, a football field-sized avalanche, where we know that 8 people have been killed. Their bodies cannot yet be recovered. They're buried. 1 person is still missing. 6 people rescued, although some of them are in a bad way with bad injuries. It's one of those things that you feel like you ought to know that there are avalanche-prone areas, but they seem to strike and get people unawares. And we have incidents of that all over Europe and now in the United States.
All right, we'll stay in France, Adam. A shocking political murder.
Yeah, this is about the polarization of politics, I guess. What we have is 9 people now arrested over this murder. The murder of a far-right nationalist student, a guy called Quentin Deronck, a maths student in Lyon in southern France. He died in hospital at the weekend, a couple of days after being essentially beaten to death by a gang of masked young men. He was kicked and badly beaten. They have now arrested these 9 guys, including a parliamentary assistant for a deputy from the official France Unbowed Party. This is a leftist party. LFI is their shorthand in France, a radical leftist group. Could then those 9 all have been leftist politicians beating up a right-wing politician? It's putting pressure on the LFI group, not least their 70 MPs. They're not some out-there group. They have 70 MPs in the French Parliament. And their leader, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, is a likely contender for the French presidential election. Yeah, French politics, it can get really extreme, can't it?
Yeah, indeed. Now, Adam, I don't know if you remember, it was around this time in the year, it was quite early on. This is January or thereabouts, 2020. We were talking about Aussies stockpiling toilet paper because there was some new virus, and it seemed so far away. Are we back there with this one from India?
Well, that is the question. Now, we should say that there have only been 2 cases reported of people suffering from the Nipah virus. So 2 nurses have been confirmed to have this virus in West Bengal in India. The reason why the Nipah virus takes the imagination is because it attacks the brain. It begins with flu-like symptoms. Don't a lot of things begin with flu-like symptoms, but anyway, fever, body aches, vomiting, then breathing difficulties, and then it mushrooms and gets worse. And there is a 60-odd% death rate. It varies a bit, but 60-odd% death rate if people get the Nipah virus. I'm not wanting to sound like a portent of doom, but you've already drawn the parallel. This is a horrible virus that comes from fruit bats in Asia. It transmits from human to human. There's no cure and no vaccine. I think we're all thinking the same thing. Please, not again, please.
Yeah, indeed. And this one sounds even more serious than what we had to deal with in 2020. It seemed so far away. And now, boy, oh boy, how quickly the world changed. Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Persia. Pretty tough. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we've got delays on the N3 North. This is between the Earlands interchange and the Geldenhuys interchange due to an earlier accident. It's been cleared now, but there's still some delays there. And then speaking of accident scenes, we've got one reported on the N1 North heading towards the city of Tshwane. As you approach Allendale Road, it's causing delays coming out of the Baku interchange. I'll have more details coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When your business needs strength, reliability, and serious capability, look no further than the Persia Professional Pickup Range. Built tough for South African conditions, Persia pickups are engineered for fleets, professionals, and the agricultural heroes who keep this country moving. From rugged load capacity to fuel-efficient performance, these pickups work as hard as you do. So whether you're building, delivering, or farming, Persia has a model that's ready for the job. Visit your nearest Persia dealership today and power your business with the confidence of Persia Professional. Landtrack, it's pretty but tough.
EWN Business.
28 after 8, our final update for the morning. Muteo Khwaripe, BHP seals that massive deal. It's all about silver.
Yeah, the mining giant BHP has struck a landmark deal worth around 70 billion rand, essentially, to sell part of its future silver production. The agreement is the largest silver deal ever signed. It gives BHP immediate cash without increasing its current debt pile. The company will also still stick to its copper, zinc, and lead production, key minerals in its long-term strategy. BHP's shift to copper production over the past 4 years also saw the metal make up more than 50% of its core earnings. The silver deal forms part of BHP's broader plan to unlock more than $6 billion in cash, strengthen its finances, and also boost returns to shareholders.
DRD Gold reporting strong results.
Yeah, anything to do with gold at the time will definitely
that's a shocker, hey? Shocker.
Boost any company right now.
Surprise.
Price of gold has been doing well. Tailings mining unit DRD Gold says revenue increased by 33% for the period to 5 billion rand from the sale of 2,388 kilograms of gold. The average gold price received a rise of 43% to 2.1 million a kilogram. DRD Gold says it captured the full benefit of the higher gold price.
Your indicators?
Rand at this hour, 16.08 against the US dollar, 18 Rand 96 against the euro, and at 21 Rand 69 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,999 an ounce. It's up this morning with the platinum down 0.5% at $2,072 an ounce. Brent crude now at $70.41 a barrel. That price, of course, rising to that level ahead of the meetings between the US and Iran.
And the board of peace and everything else in between, right?
Petrol prices are going to be higher for us, probably in March.
At least we're not Cuba.
No,
that's
not half as bad.
Right?
That's the business this morning. Stephen Grotes with more later this afternoon.
Now, here's a question. If you had, say R1 billion to spare, would you rather spend it on fixing the water infrastructure or on a commission to investigate how we got here? Sfisa Zulu.
Well, Bongani, the civil organizations are calling for a commission of inquiry to get to the bottom of the country's water challenges. The People's Water Forum, a coalition of several like-minded civil organizations, held a briefing yesterday in Johannesburg and its coordinator of the Joburg Crisis Alliance, Yunus Chamda, says there is a need to get to the root of the problem.
As we've come to realize with the many commissions of inquiry that we have, that it pulls away the layers of things that you never thought existed. Now, with the water crisis, there's this response, and it's all very superficial. Government says we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and if it's water that comes back into the tap, do we just move on? What a commission would do, it would drill down deep, it would go beyond the surface to really understand how did we get here.
The EFF says it has pulled out of the governing coalition in Ekurhuleni because it has been constantly undermined by the ANC in the metro. The EFF yesterday announced it will be moving to opposition benches following the removal of two of its MMCs in the mayoral committee. Mayor Dr. Klagaza has reshuffled his committee, cutting the EFF seats from 4 to 2. Tabiso Goba reports.
When the ANC and EFF entered into a coalition in 2023, both parties had 5 seats each in the Ekurhuleni mayoral committee. However, a year later, Ekurhuleni mayor and ANC member Dr. Klagaza removed the EFF's Nkululeko Dunga as the finance MMC. That prompted these threats from the EFF's leader, Julius Malema.
So, if by this evening, Dunga is not reappointed as the MMC of Finance, all our MMCs in Johannesburg, in Mohali City, in PE, in Ekurhuleni, all of them are going to step down. We're not scared of a fight.
However, Dunga was never reinstated and the EFF stayed. About 2 years later, 2 more EFF MMCs have been removed from the mayoral committee. EFF's Gauteng spokesperson, Dumsani Baleni, says the Red Berets' presence in the coalition had become untenable.
This decision is to undermine the EFF, and also if you consider that politically we had an agreement where the EFF was occupying the position of speaker in Ekurhuleni, which the ANC has taken over, completely disregarding political engagements.
The EFF says it will support a motion of no confidence in Mayor Klagaza. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Some economists believe the next policy rate decision by the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee will not be cut and dry, despite a marginal drop in the January inflation print. ActionSA says the year got off to a slightly better start with prices after annual headline inflation dropped to 3.5%. The reading was 3.6% in December. Nawukayam Dambo has the details.
Economists at FNB believe headline inflation will ease further in February to around 3.2%, supported by fuel price cuts. But even if headline inflation remains contained and close to the central bank's 3% target, senior economist at FNB, Kogetso Mano, says there's more at play, especially after the SARB's caution in the January MPC meeting.
So we think that when you look at inflation and the projections around inflation, especially by analysts and market participants, you will generally get the sense that there is still space to cut interest rates. I think where the Reserve Bank may be a little bit more cautious is around overall economy-wide expectations around inflation, and then still trying to entrench that in the system is something that might keep monetary policy conservative.
Portfolio manager at 91, Chris Stewart, says a 25 basis point cut could be on the cards as early as the March meeting, despite signals that rates would only be lowered later in the year. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 15 and 17 degrees, peaking at highs between 29 and 30.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 North between Corlett Drive and Greyston Drive. An accident reported between these 2 points. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between the Elands Interchange and the Van Buren Road due to peak time delays.
The top story this hour, civil organizations are calling for a commission of inquiry to get to the bottom of the country's water challenges.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
The National Commissioner did not really have serious or any objection. He just was agreeing that, look, this is a task team. It was not meant to be a permanent structure. It can be done.
Shadrach Sibiya saying that he didn't know that the minister would disband the PKTT in December 2024. He wasn't surprised by it.
My goodness, that's Sibiya in that Madlanga Commission. The guy is doing a horrible job at trying to discredit Mkhwanazi.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Love is in the air, but with OUTsurance, there could be some awesome car insurance savings for you too. Like 27-year-old Liam, who saves an awesome 640 Rand on his 2020 Ford Ranger. Get a quote now. And if OUTsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Buy any Hills pet food and you could win one of 10 holidays worth 200,000 Rand each. Or take the bucks. Scientifically proven formulas for your pet. An adventure for you. Hills Pet Nutrition. Science does more. T's and C's apply.
If a holiday is on your list this year, now's your chance. For 4 days only from the 19th to the 22nd of February, the Pop-Up Flight Center Travel Expo is unlocking limited time deals on holiday packages, cruises, tours, and more. Catch the expo at Sandton City Center Court or get the same offers at Flight Center stores nationwide. But hurry, once the expo ends, the deals do too. Flight Center, your center for travel.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Yeah, what a shocking story, Bongani. What about the aunt? She was also supposed to be thrown in jail, you know? I feel so sorry for the young boy who doesn't now have a mother, doesn't have a father, doesn't have a sister. Just for people who cannot accept that people who they do die without being killed, you know? Anyway, Lindeni here in Kalami.
KG repeating that voice note. I mean, it's a really, really worrying story, but at least all the people in it have been nabbed. And so I suppose life will continue.
Yeah.
But suspicions and families and divisions.
The whole family has fallen apart now.
Hasn't it?
Hi, Bongani and team. Shame Adam. He would think that he's being bewitched just when he needs to report his news, international news.
EWN Sport.
Yeah, we had gremlins in the system. It's not witchcraft. Don't go to a Sangoma.
Well, what's that saying? Speak of the devil and fall up there.
There was witchcraft at FNB Stadium yesterday, though, wasn't there?
and other excuses that you're making for yourself. You jinxed it.
Yeah, I did.
You jinxed it. You went on and on and on.
Yeah.
Too soon. So Orlando Pirates and Arsenal fans, you've woken up this morning, you're feeling absolutely dreadful, and you've got Bongani to blame because he jinxed it yesterday.
It's witchcraft.
He jinxed it a few weeks ago when you guys were all comfortable, 12 points, top of the table, both teams, in his little candy land.
I'm telling you now, it's witchcraft.
Right, Orlando Pirates now only 3 points ahead of the defending champion Sundowns, who have a game in hand. Pirates lost at the FNB Stadium last night in Pirates' back garden. 2-1. Okay. Sundowns goals from Leon with Pirates goal from Aswangani, Pirates coach Abdeslam Wadu.
You can see the level of Pirates that we imbalance them in the second half. We put them a lot of trouble. Of course, you can see that Mamelodi Sundowns have experience as well of managing the games.
Also last night, Stellenbosch and Magesi finished 1-0. Arsenal failed to go 7 points clear at the top of the Premier League. They were held 2-2 by bottom of the table Wolves. It equalised for Wolves in the 94th minute. Gunners boss Mikel Arteta.
We all want to talk a lot about how we're feeling. It's not the moment to do that because anything that we do has to be always and only with the intention to help the team. And right now, I think we have to swallow that frustration. When you are at this level and at the top, you need to take the hits because today we deserve them and move on as quick as possible because on Sunday we have a big game coming up.
In the Champions League, Inter in a shock 3-1 loss to Bodo Glimt. Newcastle's Gordon scored 4 goals in a 6-1 win over Qarabağ. Bruges held Atletico 3-0. Leverkusen beat Olympiacos 2-0. In rugby, the Sharks have appointed JP Peterson as permanent head coach. He has been interim coach since November. Live action at the T20 Cricket World Cup where the West Indies sent in to bat by Italy on 97 for 3 after 13 overs. Yesterday, the Proteas beat the UAE by 6 wickets to go through the group stages unbeaten. Man of the match Corbin Bosch on the pressure of the Super 8s.
There's no extra pressure, it's exciting because, as I said, you have the luxury to watch some of the best fast bowlers in the world, and we're fortunate enough to play a few games in Ahmedabad, which has been really nice, as I think now we have 2 coming up, so we've had the luxury of the conditions and assessing the field and game plans moving forward. The planning will now go towards individuals rather than a team perspective and as a team how we want to operate.
protests play India on Sunday in the Super 8s, and in Formula One, drivers complaining that the new regulations have stopped them attacking the corners to save battery. But 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton says the biggest rule change in the sport's history has made the car more fun. Hamilton says he's loving the car having reduced grip and discovering how far he can push it. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
19 to 9. Amo, let's check the roads now. What are you seeing?
Well, Bongani, we still have got queuing traffic on the R21 north heading towards Tembisa, or in Tembisa actually, due to those roadworks that are taking place, as well as the accident that happened on Olifantsfontein Road. So please be on the lookout and try to avoid as much as you can. And if you're traveling on the N1 north towards Midrand, do expect delays. This is between the Baklu interchange and Allendale Road due to an accident scene. There's also queuing traffic reported along the N1 south. In fact, a stop and go between the Brockfontein interchange and New Road in Midrand. I'll have more updates right at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. All cars are designed to move. A Mazda is crafted to move you. Every line, every detail, form in motion, beauty with purpose. So that when you drive, you connect. Car and driver become one. One rhythm. Builds, holds, breaks free. The feeling will find you. Mazda. Wonder awaits.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS LEGAL to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
From your pet's bowl
to Belito, brew.
or Barcelona. Maybe Bordeaux?
How about Brazil?
Or Butts, Betty's, Bavians, Bella Bella, or even Benoni. Buy any Hills pet food and you could win one of 10 holidays worth 200,000 Rand each. Or take the bucks. Scientifically proven formulas for your pet. An adventure for you. Hills Pet Nutrition. Science does more. T's and C's apply.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Good morning, Cindy and team and Bongani. Cindy, Pirates was going to lose. I remember yesterday Bongani saying the captain is begging supporters to come to the stadium and Pirates would never do that and Kaizer Chiefs. And there was a WhatsApp that said there would be 50 of them that would be happy going back home and 50,000 of Pirates fans who were crying. And I'm telling you, it happened. Sorry, Bongani.
Coming up
on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Clement, there's nothing like coming to work and your team has lost.
What are you talking about,
they're
sir?
just rubbing it in your face.
What are you talking about?
Deny, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's your approach.
I'm here to tell you what's coming up on my show. Can I stick to that, please?
All right, let's go into your pack. Your evidence pack.
Yeah, here's my evidence pack.
On page 55.
We're going to start
paragraph 4.
Shadrach Sibia.
Yes.
Right? We're going to look at his pack and what he was able to say yesterday at the Madlanga Commission. He seems to be making the link with the MK party. I'm interested to hear what the listeners' thoughts are about that. I've got my own thoughts.
And the social media users
campaign
that he can't quite identify, although he brings them up.
Yeah. And then we are going to talk about, I want to ask the listeners how much they're willing to spend to watch their favorite artist. How much were you willing to spend?
My two favorite, the three.
Oh, how much have you spent?
My top 4 favorite artists are all dead.
They did?
So
what does that tell us
Michael
about
Jackson,
you?
Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross, George Michael. There's no
what
one
does
I
it
would
tell us
spend.
about you?
There's no one. It means I'm worried about
we'll see them in heaven.
my retirement.
I want to ask the listeners that because there are some big artists coming this year. There's a guy called J. Cole. I found out about him yesterday when my sister wanted me to buy her a ticket. I was like, who is that guy?
Miss?
But he's coming down. Who's the other one? Doja Cat is also coming down.
Miss?
Yeah, so isn't your daughter excited about
Yes,
that?
but I'm not going to go.
And
Are you
surely
gonna take
will
her alone?
spend. You'll spend
No,
it.
she's got a brother.
So I'm going to ask the listeners about that. But at 10 o'clock, we do our hanging out feature. And guess who we're hanging out with today?
Yeah.
Simunye. Oh, we are one. She was probably the most beautiful woman of during that continuity presenter.
Connie.
Ferguson? Was on
she
Simunye?
she was, oh no, she was on SABC 2.
She was.
Yeah.
She was
Like
on
you remember
SABC
continuity
2.
presenters?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
you
now a
talking-
businesswoman. She's tall.
She's got short
She's
hair.
gorgeous. She's got short
Zandi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Zandi Tapo.
you get the bragging rights. We're going to be hanging out with legendary,
I'm helped.
legendary TV presenter and businesswoman Zandine Hlapo today.
All right, the Clement Manyatela show between 9 and 12.
Okay, truck 7 at zero warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without My Way's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Get the advantage this tax year end with Sage. No stress, no scrambling. Just seamless HR and payroll that keeps you ahead of UIF, PAYE, and employment equity, all in one smart cloud solution. With automated compliance, real-time accuracy, and simplified HR and payroll, give your business the tax year end advantage. That's Sage. Visit tax.sage.co.za today.
Alcohol drowns our hope and fuels our pain. Our streets are flooded. Our families are breaking. Women and children are not safe. Alcohol kills 100 people in South Africa every day. For more information, visit www.truecostofalcohol.africa. Increase excise tax on alcohol.
When the brightest brains collide in the biggest general knowledge quiz in Gauteng, it's time for the Brain of 702.
Let's give away some cash, shall we? The Brain of 702. Time to put your brilliance on display. Prove your mental might for a chance to win a share of 130,000 Rand. So 1,500 Rand up for grabs in this round. And again, at the end of the day on 702 Drive. The winner, of course, of the Brain of the Week tomorrow afternoon will walk away with 10,000 Rand. And ultimately, a chance to get that 30,000 Rand prize to be declared the Brain of 702. We've got two contestants. We have got Henny, who is joining us now. We've got Henny. Henny, a very good morning to you.
Morning, Bongani.
How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You?
Another sudden death round, hey? Will that do?
No, preferably not.
Preferably not. Henny, you know how it works. Won yesterday after a sudden death round, playing against Kabelo, who I understand is playing for the very first time. Kabelo, good morning.
Hi, Bongani. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you is the question.
Well, thank you.
Which is your strong point?
General knowledge.
General knowledge. And you reckon you can take Henny on?
Let's see.
Let's see, indeed. Well, you both know how it works. I've got 15 questions. I'm going to try and ask them in 60 seconds. You must give me the most correct answers to be the winner. Otherwise, we will play sudden death. Let's start with you, Henny. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, KG, start the clock.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word cynical.
SYNICAL.
It's CYNICAL. The famous line from the movie Jerry Maguire is, show me the what?
Money.
Correct. In which sport are the terms sprint time trial and peloton used?
Cycling.
Correct. In which country is Tencent one of the largest companies?
China.
Correct. True or false? A tweenager is a child who's younger than 8 years old.
False.
Correct. Which of these is not a prime number? 17, 21, and 29.
21.
Correct. On which town is Herald's Bay? On which ocean is the town Herald's Bay?
It's the Indian Ocean.
Correct. The Minister of Electricity is Josienzo who?
Ramakgopa.
Correct. True or false? Chimpanzees have human-like fingerprints. What would you have said?
I couldn't hear the question properly, sir.
Oh, true or false? Chimpanzees have human-like fingerprints. What would you have said?
True.
Yeah, it would have been true. It would have been true. It would have been true. Not a bad round, though, Henny. You are 7 points in.
Yep.
7 points in. Stay on the line. That's usually a competitive score. Kabelo, 7 or better to stay in the game, my friend. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. KG, start the clock.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word cabaret.
What?
C-A-B-A-R-E-T. The famous line from the movie Jerry Maguire is, "You had me at what?"
What?
Hello. In which sport can you hit your tee shot with a wood into a bunker?
Golf.
Correct. In which country is Samsung one of the largest companies?
China.
South Korea. True or false? A juvenile is a young person who's not yet an adult.
True.
Correct. Which of these numbers is not a prime number? 13, 27, and 37.
37.
27. On which ocean is the town Saldanha Bay?
What?
Atlantic Ocean. The South African Minister of Finance is Enoch who?
Godongwana.
Correct. True or false? Koalas have human-like fingerprints.
False.
It would have been true. It would have been true. But a rough one there for you. Kabelo, you walk away with 3 correct answers. And that means, Henny, you have walked away with 1,500 Rand. You will play again with John Perlman this afternoon. And if you're still standing at the end of the day, you'll be the brain of the day. Remember, of course, you've got to try and stay in it, because if you're still standing tomorrow afternoon, you'll be the brain of the week.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
There used to be a graying tower alone on the sea. You became the light on the dark side of me. Love remains a drug that's the high and not the pill. But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become alive and the light that you shine can't be seen? I can bring you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, stranger it feels, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave. There is so much a man can tell you, so much he can say. You remain my power, my pleasure, my pain, baby. To me, you're like a grown addiction that I can't deny. Won't you tell me, is that healthy, baby? But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become a large and the light that you shine can't be seen? so much a man can tell me, so much he can say. You remain my power, my pleasure, my pain.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
Ooh, baby.
Why do they say love is blind? Slow down, we don't have to move fast, 'cause the love that is real is made to last. Take it one heartbeat at a time. Close your eyes and let your soul unwind. Sooner or later, it'll all fall in line if we take it one heartbeat at a time. One heartbeat. We paint a picture walking down the street. Leaves are falling, baby, so are we. Hand in hand, that's the way it should be. How could something so easy make me feel so complete? Take it one heartbeat at a time. Close your eyes and let your soul unwind.
Happy birthday to two legendary performers, Smokey Robinson, he of Motown fame. Did you know a massive hit by The Temptations, My Girl, from the pen of Smokey Robinson. And then, of course, Seal, also celebrating his birthday today. And that leads us nicely right into the Friday edition of 702 Breakfast, which we will bring you bright and early tomorrow morning. Stay listening to 702. The drums of war are sounding. What will the Trump administration do following that massive military buildup against Iran? Will they seek regime change? Or will peace prevail? It's 9 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia is expected to continue with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today. He testified yesterday that KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was promoted twice in 2011, violating SAPS procedures. According to Sibia, Mkhwanazi was promoted from Brigadier to Major General and then Lieutenant General, all within a year.
General. That same year, he was appointed by former President Jacob Zuma to be acting National Police Commissioner, an appointment that saw him being promoted overnight to Lieutenant General. Sibia says this is in contravention of SAP